is that
Miracle
as
Whip.
long I don't care whether it has that
And
little
Duke's Mayo by
Duke's
association.
mayonnaise is obviously the preference.
Miracle Whip.
yeah, Miracle Whip. But I don't see the need that if I want the best representation of a character, I don't care if it's a third party or not, as long as the character is represented well.
But it's not the character. It's literally not the character. It's literally
Well, it was the same thing to me. It's Takara makes a plastic representation of a character, and then another party makes a plastic representation. They're both representations of that character, of a fictional character. It doesn't really bother me that much anymore.
I'm again totally cool. To me, it's great that you collect, engineered fan art. That is wonderful. I'm very happy
that's the way I see it. And as a person who, gonna talk about the old days, back in the old days when I was working with OTFCC, I'd make a point to focus on the art room and running that. When we did Iacon 1 that one year, that was my thing, was doing the art room. So I do see them as a kind of mass-produced art.
It is mass-produced
art. I
art.
was a zine person, so I think it, I don't see them as like official toys. They're a kind of fan art.
Yeah.
And
this is a fan
really
work that we're doing.
that.
We've been doing it for years. I mean, it's an expression of your love of Transformers. I don't collect, MP3s of Transformers podcasts. I don't collect, I don't collect a lot of fan art, and I don't collect third party, but that's just because it's not what I collect. It's awesome that you do.
They're both fine. It's just, I'm the same. I just want what Hasbro produces or Takara. That's what I buy.
I do like people complaining about how much Masterpiece Raiden is going to cost, considering that in like 1999, maybe 2000, the original Raiden gift set was the first toy to go over $1,000 on eBay. So
I didn't know that, but that's not surprising.
I remember that because one of my friends really, really wanted it.
Was it Doug?
No, it was Forky.
Forky, okay.
Yes, he was really into trains. So yeah, he could not get.
I think I'd be okay with the price of the Masterpiece if they just didn't have all that clear plastic on it.
Yeah.
I think I might be able to stomach it if they didn't have that.
But one thing, when you were talking, Tristan, about the fiction and stuff, that's kind of me with the bot sets, is that we're looking at a snapshot in the moment in this universe. The fiction is all we have to tell us about this universe. That's why the fiction is so important to me. It's like that Megatron's Master Plan set with that was a very odd set. But the fiction made it make sense once you read it and saw the characters in that box. Just taking the toys without the fiction, it doesn't have the cohesiveness once you read the book, you understand.
Hey, so real quick, John and I was wondering this, and John's in our Discord right now, and he was wondering what happened to Forky. Do we know?
He's just doing stuff.
The last time I saw him was when Hoop threw up on his back.
Ask LV.
Okay.
If anyone knows, it's him. He was his roommate.
I completely forgot about the Discord. I guess I should probably go to it.
Yeah. tfradio.net/Discord.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
I have it. I am in your channel, but I'm usually checking my other channels. My like 3 channels.
I have
Discord
like so many.
I run.
And I see something on Ouija that looks like it means somebody mentioned me.
Unlike last year, I've got a dual monitor setup. So I'm looking at you guys on Zoom here, and then on here I've got pop-out chat from the YouTube on the other monitor without anything else. So it's just the chat. So I'm actually prepared now.
Nice.
I was thinking of having my new iPad. So completely unrelated to Transformers, and I guess it has to do with unreasonable expenditures of money. I have completely shifted everything over to Apple in the last year. So I could use this as a secondary monitor, and when I do my regular podcast, plug my podcast, iaconunderground.net. We are back on Robots in Disguise 2015 now.
Sweet.
So time for unreasonably sexy Steeljaw. Why is he so sexy? Why? Why did they do this? But I can set this up to function as a second monitor, and so I'll have Audacity running on that, so I can make sure my squiggles are showing up.
Do you record in Audacity?
Yes.
So, and you record?
We don't do video.
Okay. Well, no. But do you do one like? So I don't. I use. Well, I mean, I have redundancies and stuff, but like I just use like now I use the native recorder for the program that we do. I've never had luck trying to run like Audacity in the background to do the audio. And I'm just always fascinated by how other people do their stuff.
I would say you probably don't. I mean, now everyone's just knocking things over.
Oh,
Oh, somebody's. Oh, hi. Yeah, I'm not going to touch her. That's Arya. She does not allow touching. But it is a little resource intensive. So it might not be something you'd want everybody to use.
yeah.
It works fine on my M1 MacBook Air. I was using it before that. I would do it on my desktop rather than on my crappy, cheap little laptop that was just basically a Chromebook that they had put Windows on. So, come on, guys. Here. Here is Scott's brother, Hank.
Oh.
Who has run over to me. But yeah, Strange 4, David would be the one to talk more about the behind the scenes audio stuff, because I basically just save the MP3 file and Dropbox it over to him.
Yeah.
But yeah, Audacity has been pretty solid for us.
Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've edited a podcast. But once long ago, me and my colleagues used to record independently on Audacity. Then I would edit it and sync all that down into individual tracks.
I did, that's what I did a couple times, and JD his would drift from mine. Like however we recorded it just the sample rate or something.
Bit rates, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the sample rate, if I had to guess.
That would make the most sense, yeah.
Yeah, I think there was like some slight inconsistency on how it worked, and yeah, we would drift, and it was a disaster.
We were using Zencaster for a while, and then also recording in Audacity so that we had a backup.
Yeah.
But yeah, with the last batch of changes a year or two ago, we just stopped. We've actually been using Discord for the online part of the audio. So we'll just...
Brian, didn't we try Discord once and it didn't work out for the audio or something?
That's because half of us have terrible internet connections, Don. That was the problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
We moved to Zoom because it's pretty good when it comes to bandwidth. I can record locally. And I think I like how it handles video, so I'm good with it.
Yeah, I do, which I'm actually going to have to bolt from this chat if it goes past 7:30. I'll give you an overtime of 7:30.
Your time. We're not people watching live.
So
like in the US, we're not going to 7:30.
Yeah, it's currently like 5:15 in the evening for me here. So whatever time it is for you, assign that to about 2 hours and 15 minutes.
So Obi-Wan71 in the Discord asked what this was. So I haven't plugged this as much as I normally do because we don't really have Toy Fair this year. But we do a Toy Fair every year, and Toy Fair live stream, and we did it really late last year, and I wanted to do it closer to when Toy Fair actually is this year, just so that we keep it up, because it's my favorite thing ever all year. Literally, I like it better than Christmas. So,
I actually get to show up, so I like it too.
Yeah, so
it's your annual chat to British Matt.
Yeah,
there's downsides to everything, Triplet.
Oh,
so yeah. So
thank you for kicking me in the stomach. I needed that.
Well, you only show up once a year. I get my shots in.
Well, Chris, you didn't even go to Shardicon. I could go to Shardicon, but you didn't go to Shardicon, and you could have bought that neat Generations Warpath toy for me, and I could have bought it from you at retail.
I had,
but you didn't even do that.
Yeah, he had stuff going on.
I wish I could have went, but I had circumstances.
So yeah, hey, my
Black
Zarek comes
I almost didn't make it today because of circumstances.
Yeah. So yeah.
My Black Xeric is at BBTS.
BBTS.
I'm waiting for a Halloween Kills action figure to come and stop.
I am waiting for my Mafex Azrael Batman to show up before I ship my loot.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Oh, Japon Ballet by the order of Saint Damas.
I've already got Scorponok, and he's 3 of my favorite characters. He's Rebirth. Prepare to feel the sting of Scorponok. And he's My Laugh is an Evil Laugh, Headmaster's Dub Scorponok. And he's Marvel G1. You know, I am a human trying to run the Decepticons and hoping nobody notices Scorponok.
Oh, did you see what Richard Sargent did in live action? He recreated the scene from 75 with Unicron and Scorponok in live action.
Oh, wow.
That was cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, if you get a chance to look it up, it's very gory at the end because you know what happens to him in 75. It does not end well for Scorponok there.
Part of why I caved and got the iPad was, and this is kind of news related, is because of all the licensing stuff going on. So, you know, with IDW, there are concerns that those old comics may not be I've asked my local comic guy to just see what he can get from his distributor, what IDW stuff is sitting in the warehouse, because
I did a search for trade paperbacks and they're getting expensive. They are getting really expensive.
It's ugly. I was just trying to look. And the thing is, with the iPad, I got a bunch of it digitally through Humble Bundle a little bit ago. So I've got it digital. And I've been, that was just had me thinking about the digital side of.
I got a lot of it through Comixology, but the less we talk about Comixology, probably the better.
Yeah, that's another thing where
I didn't have luck with the old app. I don't see how the new app is much worse.
They changed a lot.
I need to go and check out because I've on desktop I've got like all of the Miller Batgirl. I got all of Battle Chasers. I've got the America Chavez mini. I haven't read yet.
Which Miller?
I don't remember. Oh God,
Frank Miller, I would assume.
No, Batgirl. Stephanie Brown, Batgirl.
Didn't you say
Brian Q. Miller?
Brian Q. Miller. Yeah, that's right. Okay. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
I got that. I got all of Battle Chasers.
Probably better.
Pet Avengers.
I've got too much.
Yeah, I had never gotten to Comixology because I, hadn't bought in on the tablet thing for a while. So yeah, I've just got.
Actually, I've got a new Kindle coming, Brian, this week.
You have a new. Is it a new model or is it just?
It's the newest, the one that they just released.
They just released a new one,
like a couple of months ago, I think.
Like I
21.
In the past I bought like higher end tablets and I don't use them for anything other than reading crap anyway.
Well, the last Kindle I got was like 8 years ago. It was about time.
Oh, mine's a couple years old. Is it right here?
I have for e-paper reading, I have a Nook, which is the Barnes and Noble one, because
my grandma's got a Nook.
I had a Zune and I loved my Zune. But I ended up having to replace it a couple years ago because my first one was old enough that the rubberized plastic was getting sticky.
Oh. Yeah, Amazon's got sales because of Monday. Like this weekend, and I think I got a Kindle for, I don't know, $30 cheaper than normal. So I was like, sure, why not?
I mean, this is the first comic I've bought in probably well over 2 years, and it was from Ollie's. And I showed I showed this off. I showed this off. The JSA trade I got at Ollie's, just for those 2 pages where Stargirl and Billy meet.
I was able
and Alan Scott becomes Green Lantern again. Just for those pages,
I was able to find all but like 2 of the Jeff Johns.
There's like 2 or 3 that I didn't get because you found me a lot of them.
Yeah, I've had really good luck getting finding those.
There's like 2 or 3 I'm missing, and I got like all of them except for like 2 or 3 of them.
Next month, I am getting an Ollie's right down the road from my house.
Yeah,
and I don't have to drive an hour to the nearest one in Fredericksburg.
My nearest one's 20 minutes away, and it's too far.
Mine's
could
an hour
walk.
away.
I could walk to this one because I live Culpeper is not a large town. So if you live in town, you're pretty much a walk on a good day to anywhere.
Brian, does any of that IDW stuff hit
Please.
Ollie's, or is it mostly DC and Marvel stuff?
It's DC and Marvel stuff and
That's what I was
occasional
thinking.
Boom Studio stuff.
Yeah, that's what I was
thinking.
Most of the stuff that we still have is from that huge, massive drop a couple of years ago. Oh, Brian, I talked to Jermaine up at Acme Comics on that.
Okay.
When it first happened,
Yeah.
you know, when Ollie's, he says he has no idea where that product came from. There was nothing on his end as a retailer to even note where that was coming from. But all that stuff hit out of the blue and totally demolished.
Well, that much it almost certainly came from DC itself.
Yeah, but it's like he said, none of us had prepared. They've got trade paperbacks for $4. They were still selling for $25 in the stores, and he was like,
I
No
resold
one-
a couple of trades for like $50 or more.
Ooh.
Yeah, I scalped them.
Nice.
Not gonna lie.
But yeah, I was looking at back to Transformers and IDW. I was looking at the classics ones because I have, oh my god, guys, stop fighting. That's worse than having actual children because actual children don't have claws.
Mine do.
But I was looking at the classics collections because I mean I have a full set of the Marvel stuff from that I collected like in the 90s from used bookstores and comic shops. And in one case, getting one of my friends to trade his cousin some magic cards for them, which excitingly included like 75 and 62 and like a bunch of exceptional issues. But so they had to be some good magic cards. But I don't want to like handle those too much. And those, even those being like reprints, were going for like $75, $80 on eBay. So, and that seems like the kind of thing that probably whoever gets the license would be the most likely to reprint would be the original Marvel stuff. But
Hopefully.
So we
Yeah.
still don't know who's getting that, right? They haven't announced anything?
not officially.
Okay. We were thinking what? Skybound? Is that the name of the
The
company?
Kirkman.
The Kirkman Company? Is that what we were thinking at one point?
That they were
That's the
interested at one
rumor.
point.
I mean, the looking at precedent, if you look at, I mean, for instance, the Marvel G1 stuff, or say how things are going with Star Wars or any other big licenses, one could assume that whoever gets the license next has the rights to reprint. They
Huh.
also get the yeah. Benjamin, calm your ass, buddy. Come on, that's my large adult son. The kittens are picking on him. But so one would assume that whoever gets the rights next that also includes the reprint rights for the stuff that's come before. Like,
Well-
didn't IDW put out a collection of like War Within or something?
They
of the
put out
Furman
a lot of
Greenway
They
books?
Marvel stuff
They
too.
put out the
didn't they?
Marvel. I
yeah,
don't-
but the Marvel stuff, like Spider-Man, they had to black out Spider-Man and replace bits of text on what was going on because they
Wa-
couldn't
was,
show Spider-Man.
What
Well,
was
the
the
Marvel
show?
Circuit-
Transformers
They didn't
stuff
even include
versus
the
Marvel
one
Marvel
issue, I
stuff.
think.
They didn't. Did they have
Um,
Circuit Breaker in it? She's a Marvel character, right?
Sorry, I'm thinking the Titan reprints. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they would have to because
She's in it a lot.
she's
so
just
yeah.
she's such an integral part. It's not
So-
just
so
a matter
Mar-
of leaving out
so
issue 3.
Spider-Man was a problem, but Circuit Breaker, no.
Well, Marvel,
Spider-Man's a bigger deal.
Yeah.
Marvel claimed ownership of Circuit Breaker the way they introduced her to their comics, but it
Yeah.
doesn't mean they care about
They don't
Circuit
care.
Breaker.
Right, they
Oh, no,
don't
they
care.
don't. Most of my characters, I'm surprised I've gotten the characters I've gotten in Marvel Legends. I mean, you know, y'all accuse me of having some secret Marvel power. It's like, no, I think they're just running out of people to do, and they're looking everywhere to make characters. When we see a Circuit Breaker, we know they're out of ideas completely.
Speaking of Marvel securing the rights to characters to show up in Transformers, I had to go get my prized possession.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Which is the one page with art by Brian Hitch that they ran so that Marvel could officially have the rights to Deathshead before he showed up in Transformers.
Somebody's selling a lot of pages of the IDW and Transformers now. Who is doing that? I've been seeing it on
Alex
Twitter.
Milne is selling a lot of
that's
them.
who it is. Yeah, they look
Cash
good.
out.
I'd love to buy one, but they're more than I want to spend right now on them.
Well,
I would assume that if IDW was reprinting The War Within, that means that, because you would assume that the Marvel rights would be included, but the also Dreamwave rights.
I think it was right back at the start of IDW's acquisition of Transformers. They bulked up the lines with a lot of reprints from the Dreamwave stuff. So they did War Within. They did, I'm trying to remember if they did some of the Generation 1 stuff. I don't think they actually did any of the Unicron trilogy comics, though. I might be mistaken in that, but they certainly did do like a trade paperback of War Within and a black and white copy as well.
Really?
Yeah, there were IDW did a whole bunch of black and white reprints, which they called manga editions.
I was gonna say, was it that smaller manga format?
Yeah.
So yeah, I vaguely remember that. So yeah, it's just going by precedent. It's probably safe to assume that whoever gets the rights next, that will include the reprint rights to the existing IDW material. Whether or not they feel a need to make that available is gonna be up to them.
They make some money, I think. So
I would think it would make a lot of sense because a lot, especially, I mean, More Than Meets the Eye specifically, but also that whole, there were people who were not even established Transformers people, like Jason Aaron was going on about how great it was. Kieran Gillen notably was a fan. So, I mean, that was something that was really a breakout hit that went beyond just people who are going to read Transformers comics. So it would make a lot of sense to make that available again.
It's kind of on a case by case basis and on which company sort of has the cojones to go ahead and do stuff like that, because the IDW themselves, they've got a lot of properties. When they purchased Sonic the Hedgehog, I don't think they went out of their way to republish any of the Archie or British Fleetway comics.
I just bought some Archie Turtles trades, and my God, they're crazy.
Oh yeah,
I've got the whole run. I've got
the Archie's Turtles was
Adventures.
crazy.
It was.
I've got IDW's Turtles Adventures run. So basically the Toyland / cartoon line. I haven't got Urban Legends Myths, which is the Image comics. The less said about that, the better.
Well, every time there's like a fundamental shift in like these rights changes, I can't help but think of Doctor Who, because it's like, oh, the Doctor is leaving, so and so's coming back, Jodie is leaving, David Tennant's coming back. That's not the way this works.
No.
That's not the way it works. And I mean, I can see them going back to Marvel if the long-term plan is to have Marvel Studios do Transformers product. But since Hasbro has its own television animation arm now, that's not the hub.
Yeah.
Then, they're going that route. But I mentioned this on RFC, and Brian and Matt will remember. You too, Chris.
Will I?
Yeah. How
you've got a better memory now. You should be.
You
assume an awful lot.
Yeah, don't count on it, Don.
Well, because I was saying how it might be at some point Hasbro will want to branch out into publishing, keeping a lot of their stuff under one giant corporate umbrella. So
I first thought it was a crazy idea, but then I came to realize, you think you're right,
so they may eventually purchase, say if it goes to Skybound, there may be something behind the scenes where they will eventually purchase that to have a publishing arm and then a media arm for video and other stuff. So everything's under one giant house umbrella.
You say that, but look what's going on with Transformers media at the moment. The last few cartoons ran under Netflix. The most recent iterations coming out under Nickelodeon.
They're producing it though, right? Hasbro is they have their hands in production.
Oh, fair. I mean, absolutely, but it's still like it comes hand in hand. But as much as like Hasbro's company, do you know what? I've absolutely just shut down my own argument because I've just realized Power Rangers exists because that's being run by Nickelodeon. And it's
More.
very much now heavily a Hasbro property.
I
And being-
hate
and
hate
being
it when
run
I
into the-
realize that Power Rangers exist. I really hate that.
and being run into the ground by Hasbro.
Oh,
I'm
because
joking,
They,
I'm
can't, they
joking.
cannot make a
Oh,
product apparently.
I'm sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. What's that?
I'm
What's that?
kidding.
I
I'm
just
kidding.
remember that Thai Tran died, and then I'm sad because I had a biggest crush on the Yellow Ranger in high school.
Oh, really?
A lot of
I didn't
people
know that.
said, yeah, she was killed in a car wreck. Not
Yeah,
long.
she
Yeah.
wasn't
20
wearing
years
a-
ago.
Yeah.
2001.
2001. It was right before 9/11.
Oh, wow.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
She wasn't wearing a safety belt, if I remember right. So that's what pretty much killed her in the car accident.
Was
So
that
that's
after?
why she's not at conventions, and all the rest of them are.
So she had left the show. Like she didn't die while she was making the show, did she?
No, that was
after-
many years
Oh,
later.
she's,
No,
um,
it was
yeah,
afterwards.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay,
I think
that's all right.
she was the.
She was one of the ones who walked off the show
Yeah.
To the
in the
peace
middle
conference.
of season 2
She,
To the
she-
peace
her-
conference.
for over pay disputes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
her Austin St. John and Walter Jones all
Yeah.
asked because they were on a hit show. Why not go and look after yourselves? And after them?
exactly.
Oh yeah, no,
Oh, yeah,
I
go for
totally
the money.
support that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think she was. I
in
think she was.
she was in the Crow sequel.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember that.
hearing that.
I was about
Yeah,
to say
yeah.
it was starting to look like she actually had a promising career ahead of her because she was making movies like that. She was, showing her range, and it was like from there to there. That's it. Not
Yeah,
even
unfortunately,
touching
Yeah, she showed a couple things in that Crow sequel.
Oh.
She sure did.
I think she did a lovely, rousing rendition of "Hush, Little Baby, Don't Say a Word."
But I think she was
Yeah,
the
that's-
first. I think she was the first big Power Ranger starter that they lost in the fandom. And there's been several since then. I know. The Red Ranger from Ninja Storm. I can never pronounce his name.
Oh,
Pua.
Akuma. I can't.
Pua Magasiva.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you. Yeah, I know he passed away not long. I think he was the last one. I'm not sure.
And also pour one out for the remaining sanity of David Jason Frank's mind.
Nah.
Or
That
even say,
sweet
also say
wizard
John.
money.
So, the pair of them as bad as each other.
In Austin St. John, I think ended up being worse.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
because
really?
just because of the road he ended up going down specifically.
Uh-oh.
Jason David Frank kind of just drank his own Kool-Aid a little bit too much. Austin St. John drank everybody else's Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't.
Ooh.
I
After being
thought.
gone for so long.
I thought Austin wound up being the more balance between the two.
At
Oh
first.
no, Don! Oh
No.
no!
Mm-mm.
Okay.
So he was kind of heralded in the fandom because he was one of the first who went from like the acting thing into doing like public service stuff because he was an EMT for many years. He might still be, I'm not sure.
I think
And
he's
a
gone
lot
now.
of people admired that move. And then he got on Facebook and things kind of went south from there when everybody found out everything else he was into.
Oh, yeah. Paladin just put some information in our Discord chat at tfradio.net/Discord.
Yeah,
Oh.
that's a pretty quick summary of the bullet
This is one of
points.
those
Yeah.
one of those sex cult things.
Oh no, it's nothing.
No,
it's nothing.
let me
it's
just
Why,
have a
why does
legal.
RSG have a sex cult?
Nothing that
Well,
wholesome.
JD was
Have you
trying.
seen
JD
this,
was
Brian?
really trying.
Have you seen us?
Yeah.
I mean, what was it? Smallville? There were
Yeah.
there's the
Oh,
actors
yeah.
from there
Oh,
who
yeah.
ended up.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
that
that's
was
a
insane.
thing that
Yeah.
Yeah, that-
Hollywood.
One of whom got in a whole lot of trouble. Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, we are the internet's most wholesome podcast on the planet.
Not
Very
this
wholesome.
episode, but
Yeah,
or this
not so
special.
much.
But,
Sorry, I'm here. So
I
F-bombs
do
have already
have
occurred.
a
You are a remarkable young lady, and I always like talking to you. So,
Well, thank
so
you.
you class
Did
up the place.
too.
You class up the place a little.
no, I mean
bit.
you're always fun to have on the show.
I try my best. As long as I can be here. I got to go to
I
work
think
in
I
about
broke
an
Matt
hour.
or something.
Yeah, you kind of had because again, have you seen us? No one wants to see that, Don. No one's seen that. Also, I've just seen on Discord somebody mentioned Gundam, and I just want to show my sexy big boy again.
I did shortly after finally getting a chance to build the RX-78-2 after getting it out from under my cats. I did then get a Turn A that I haven't actually gotten a chance to do anything with. But gyms are really my big thing. So I like the nice, just stock military suits.
Well, my plan is, once I get Visionaries back, and
How's that going, Don?
it's going. It's
All
it's a slow process.
Speaking of rights things, and I'm sure you're aware of this, Don. So yeah, earlier last summer, I ripped all of Inhumanoids after buying a bootleg of the British DVD release for about $40 off of eBay. I then and at that point, Brexit being what it was, getting an actual UK copy would have run me even more. And possibly involved like meeting someone in a cove by the ocean in the middle of the night. But I
that
ripped
doesn't sound
them.
good at all.
No. So I ripped them and I tried uploading them. I uploaded them to Dailymotion and then I tried uploading them to YouTube and I got a flat Hasbro block.
Yeah.
Hasbro just said no. And the thing is, I had uploaded a couple JTF dubs previously. And what had happened with those was that basically Hasbro claimed monetization on them. So I was able to post them, but then you get some like Nerf ads popping up over them, which fair enough. I was not posting them to monetize. I was posting them for posterity. So I was a little surprised that it just solid blocked Inhumanoids. And then a couple months later, I looked again and discovered that the upload of the first episode that I had just sitting out there rejected had actually gone public with the same Hasbro monetization as had been applied to the JTF episodes. And I've also heard, so I went ahead and uploaded the rest of the series and now it's up there on YouTube. And I've heard that at the same time, the same thing happened with someone who had been trying to upload Visionaries, which is now also all up on YouTube. And that really made me wonder if, something happened. A decision was made to go from flat blocking that to allowing them with monetization. And it just really makes me wonder if Hasbro was sorting out the rights to those properties for a reason.
Right.
Dun, dun,
or to
dun.
see or to judge interest in those properties to see if there was anything to pursue. I know you just started watching Visionaries not long ago. So did you finish the series with all 13 episodes?
Yes,
What
I
did you think?
It's fun. It's a lot of fun. That's
Same
a really
voice
good
cast?
show. Yeah, it's the same voice cast. It's actually a different animation studio because I guess at that point it was.
I think some of those episodes were TMS too.
I think they're all TMS.
Really? Nice.
Yes,
So they gotta look
because
great then.
I guess the thing is, it's still Marvel Productions, I believe. But I think that they had ACOM and all the other normal people so backed up at that point doing that and Inhumanoids and Gem and all of the other stuff they were trying, Muppet Babies, all the other stuff they were doing at the time, that they had to find a separate studio to do that. So they got TMS. So it's really nice animation. A couple of the episodes, I think my favorite is probably the overthrow of Merklin, which is it's almost like a Cobra-centric episode of G.I. Joe. It's about the villains betraying each other, but it's also got these moments. It's what I think of as like a reverse Evangelion, where with Evangelion they blew all their budget up front, and then as the series reached the end, they were like, "Oh crap, we're out of money." This episode of Visionaries almost feels like they looked at their budget and were like, "Oh wow, we've got a bunch of money left. Let's throw a whole bunch of money at this animation," because it's just like absurdly good for being an 80s Sunbow toy cartoon.
What my favorite is Sorcery Squared, where Cryotech gets the two totems.
Yes, I like how he's got his like own place where everyone else seems to be living in New Valaric, but he's like got his own hometown.
Yeah, and it's just a fun episode where you get a lot of the spell poems used.
my favorite thing about Visionaries is not so much the good guys and the bad guys. My favorite character in the whole show is Merklin, because he's not a good guy or a bad guy.
He's an ass.
He's literally there just to play these guys off against one another. He's personally their pimp to both sides. He says, "Yeah, come dip your poles in my well and fill up your magic power. I don't mind."
He's chaotic neutral. Well, yes, he's chaotic neutral. And it's funny because we did one episode of it for Stasis Pod, and it's funny because you go into it with assumptions. So you go into it, you see this Gandalf-looking wizard, and you think, okay, well, this guy's he's going to have morals of some sort.
No.
And then about halfway through, you discover that you are absolutely wrong. This guy does not have any moral qualities. He's talking about the bad guys like evil qualities, as though these are equal to the good guys' good qualities. And
I'm well aware of the audience of this show and most of you guys, so I'm going to make a reference that's going to fly over most of your heads. The guy that Merklin reminds me most of all is a guy called Tragard in an old 80s game show called Nightmare. If you want to go look it up on Nightmare, look up Nightmare on YouTube. You'll find like this old
I'm sure if I look up Nightmare on YouTube, I'll find that first thing.
Yeah, with a K. With a K.
Oh,
not an N.
okay, gotcha.
So Nightmare.
Didn't that air like opposite like Dynaman?
Nightmare Dynaman. I don't know.
I mean, wasn't that on USA for a while, and they were airing it like in the same block with?
That wouldn't be airing opposite, Don. That'd be airing alongside. There's a very distinct difference in these ideas.
There we go. Spencer Wild on the Discords just posted the first episode up on the Discord. So there you go. It's helped you out. But anyway, Merklin in the first 2 to 3 series of that was actually quite a bit of a. I'm trying to use the right word without being censored, Brian. I'll just say git. I'll say he's a bit of a git.
Okay.
And Merklin is very much there. I mean,
that's a hard g sound instead of a j, because not being
git.
British.
G-I-D-T.
I've always said jit. Sorry, that's wrong. Okay, I'm saying it wrong.
So
in
is
my
it?
Head, I never actually said it out loud.
Yeah.
Okay, so Matt,
you never seen enough British television to
not enough
pick
Father
up on
Ted,
that?
I guess.
Like I said, it's going to fly over all of your collective heads because it's old and British. But someone's just typed "get" in Discord. So Tragard, Merklin, 2 peas in a pod, because the pair of them just a couple of gits.
I mean, I think I've got some episodes of Are You Being Served on VHS, Brian. If I find them, I can send them to you.
I can stay up until 11:30 and watch it on PBS like everybody else.
I need to find deep in my archives a photocopy someone published in an old fanzine of a UK gaming magazine about the eventually turned out to be Vaporware G2 game, in which I knew it was British because they referred to Megatron as a git.
So is that on the wiki? That info?
I thought the G2 game became Vortex.
It's not Vortex. No, it's not.
That's basically an urban legend.
Yeah, that
like Batman. Okay,
that did not end up happening.
I
bought a copy of Vortex for nothing.
Oh, it's probably a terrible
$3.
game, right?
It's not a good game,
Yeah,
but it's better than Stunt Race FX.
And it's better than the Exo Squad game on the Sega Genesis.
No, I doubt
Ooh.
it. I sincerely doubt it.
I have the Exo Squad game on.
Do you have Vortex?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
It is a better game. Yes.
I should find a ROM of that. I've got like a little handheld emulator.
No,
device.
just read ROM. Just read ROM. You'll be happier.
Yeah.
Okay. I also have Mystery of Convoy on my little handheld emulator device.
Nice.
Why did you hurt yourself so
I just bought
much?
a boxed copy of Mystery of Convoy. I've had a cart for years, but I
Leave
wanted
it.
a boxed copy.
I remember I don't remember if it was 95 or 96, but one of those super early BotCons, someone brought a Famicom and brought a copy of that so people could experience it. And the experience all around was, this is a terrible game. Why is it so hard?
The Headmaster's game is not much better. I've got the disc
Sure.
of that. My disc doesn't work with my Famicom disc drive.
It's like why does this game developer hate children?
I remember someone a very
Because
long
it
time.
was the 80s.
Yeah.
I remember someone saying a very long time ago, the Return of Convoy game is basically the underwater level to the Ninja Turtles game for every level.
Oh
Well,
God.
I mean, so I never had a problem with that Ninja Turtle level. It's a lot better than Mystery of Convoy. None of those early Transformers games are any good. Like the Spectrum game, none of them. I mean, they're all horrible. Like the first good Transformers game is like Armada.
Yeah.
Armada
Just-
game.
Yeah.
They were
Yeah,
just
it is.
licensed shovelware. It was just some junk that we can put out with a brand on it to make money off that brand.
Yeah, that Beast Wars fighting game was before Armada, right?
was.
I
It's not
kind
good.
of
Have you played it?
like it.
But
I
Brian
kinda
Staten
like
is still
it,
correct.
It's still he's still correct.
I've got
and
it
I'm
on
just
the
saying I
PlayStation and
kind
the
of like
N64,
that.
and both versions suck.
I
have the
know
N64
where
version
my
also.
PC copy of the non-fighting Beast Wars game is.
It's not a
copy's
good
right over there.
game,
and
but I
need
can still
to-
enjoy it.
yes, with
I
my,
did like
it
my
was
few
years
remaining
ago.
physical CDs.
It was
Somebody-
nice that you could get like Windrazor as a color skin change for Silverbolt,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you could get was it Black Arachnia for Tarantula? Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
Black
The
Arachnia
Beast-
instead of Tarantulas.
The Beast Wars second fighting game is better than the Beast Wars Transmetals fighting game.
Oh yeah,
The one on the Game Boy Color is
that's the
better
Game
than
Boy one. Yeah, I remember
yeah.
that one. That was
It's
cool.
still
The
not good.
Star Upper.
Yeah. Mhm. But yeah, Armada was the first game we got that was actually good. I'll agree with that.
Somebody actually during the Games Done Quick Marathon this year ran the PlayStation Beast Wars game.
Yeah.
Why?
It's
It was,
just
it was
crazy.
interesting. It was interesting too because the person who ran it was very clearly not like a Transformers fan, but the game was important to them from their childhood, and that's why they speedrun it.
Yeah.
It's cute.
I cannot
think
imagine
it-
speedrunning that game.
I
Oh
think
my God.
the completion time was around 20 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Somebody in the
It's a
chat has-
short game. It doesn't take long to beat that game.
Yeah,
Also-
no, it's a short game. They just
Yeah.
make it take forever because you keep dying.
You keep
So
dying. Yeah.
after, I'm not gonna lie. After we're done today, what I'm going to do is play around with this. It is my Mister.
awesome.
I cannot-
Ooh.
I have hardly touched it since I got it.
You've had that for a while too.
A couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah.
What is it, Brian?
It's a Mister. It's think of like it's a FPGA and a field programmable gate array based video game console where instead of we had this conversation on the podcast where instead of emulating the hardware and
I didn't understand it
software,
then either.
the chip rewrites itself to act like the physical hardware that the game originally ran on. It rewrites the gates on the chip so that it runs like a Nintendo or Super Nintendo.
I've
Oh,
got a
look, Matt's
Pocket
got
on
leader one.
pre-order.
I do.
I got the Pocket on pre-order. I bought
I
a
got
copy
my
of
Pocket right
Pokemon
here.
Silver in preparation. I know, it's so pretty.
Yeah, I actually thought of so I half at one point decided that I was going to sell it and then buy the Mister, but I decided just to keep it. It's got a beautiful screen and it plays Game Boy games really well. But I was thinking I bought the LCD upgrade for the Game Boy Advance SP, and it's going to look just as good. And it will. There's a couple nagging things that bug me about it, but the screen is
So
beautiful.
you falling out of love with that one? It seemed like he was kind of in love with it.
I
for a
was in
little
love with it.
while.
I was in love with the screen.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if it gets bumped slightly, the
Yeah.
game stops.
Oh,
And
that's
it's
not
so
good.
annoying.
That's not good at all.
No,
With the
like,
handheld.
I have-
Annoying.
like if I need to set the game down mid play, I literally have to do it in slow motion.
Oh,
that-
yeah.
Well,
That's,
Maybe
that's
they'll
a deal
fix
breaker.
that by the time mine ships.
Hopefully, but the screen is flipping amazing.
Yeah.
I've got a
That's
question.
not. That's not the one with the crank, is it? What's the one with the crank?
Oh,
I have a question for the group while there's this little bit of pregnant pause.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Leader One is my only transforming toy purchase of the past year. I know because I'm a terrible, terrible Transformers
you need the
fan.
blue one.
Oh, don't even start enabling me. You know it's going to happen.
That's the one I have. Is the blue one.
But here's the thing. This is a thing that I just take off my desk and I'll randomly fiddle and play with. That's the only thing I do. anything in your guys' collection you do that with. Because Melvar's got a huge collection right there. Don's got a huge collection right there. Don't even talk about Kilby.
I got boxes behind me.
I was just playing with Hubcap. You just couldn't see it.
Mine are
Oh, I
awesome.
love Hubcat so much. I love him so much. I have 2 of him.
And
I
Rekar.
love him.
All these guys, they just languish. They just languish on my shelf up here, including the lovely, lovely Ultrazord right over there. Woo!
I've been playing around with Artfire a lot. I don't know why, just because.
Yeah.
I'm afraid to break Artfire. Oh wait,
I
no,
just
the
don't
new
touch
one,
any
sorry.
of these. Oh, I've got one of those.
Megatron
Up
attack.
Yay.
I actually have him
Taste
out
Megastorm.
because
I
we
can't
did
tell.
a bit. This is Megatron.
Okay.
But we did a bit on one of our podcasts where Rob expected me and David to know anything at all about rom-coms that Danny from Rescue Bots voice actress had been in. And he had us buzz in with toy sound effects. So
Nice.
that was
Awesome.
my buzz
Yay!
in. So
Yours
he's
works, mine don't.
hanging around.
Well, as soon as my spare one of these arrives, I want to transform him, but I'm not doing that till my spare arrives.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah, I
So
can
here's
see
my
that.
here's my little emulator handheld.
That's the
With-
RG35P. Which one?
Yes, it's the P because
That's what I have.
that's the only way you could get it in the atomic purple.
Mine's white, but it's
Or
a
indigo,
fantastic.
I
It's a
guess.
fantastic little system.
Yeah,
I
I
See,
needed
now Tommy's playing with Crasher, and I'm kind of jealous. I missed that toy.
Hey,
See, this
Tommy,
is there's
Matt, what's-
actually a fan translation of Mystery of Convoy
I
out
don't
there,
have
but
that.
that does not
Neat.
make it. I could send it to you. It's just a ROM file,
Yeah.
but it does not make the game good.
nothing is going to make the game good. Has anybody ever considered doing like a time trial tournament where the person who can last the longest in that game without dying is
That's
the
about
champion?
30 seconds.
I
Unless you-
feel
you have to
like there
stand
was.
still.
I feel like there might have been. I don't know if it was a TFCon or another small unofficial convention, but I think somebody actually tried that concept one year.
Why isn't that the Transformers version of Desert Bus so we can raise some money for some charities or something? How long you can last?
So
Hey, Matt,
Brian,
what-
showing
See,
off
that-
game
that
stuff. real
Tommy,
quick.
that Crasher looks good, but you need the white one.
I know I do, and it will happen.
So here's my PC engine with my Terra mode onion.
Oh, that's cool looking.
Yeah, optical disc emulator where I can basically run Super CD games off of an SD card.
I don't think I've ever seen one in person. Did you
This
have
is
one before?
what
Brian?
No.
I had actually been focused on playing
Oh, cool.
through on it.
Tactics, sweet.
Yeah, that's a good
Which
game.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Yes,
I never got into
one.
Final Fantasy, but that's probably the one I was probably.
Is that the
played.
Game Boy Advance game, or is that a different one?
No, this is it. Actually,
PSP?
runs PlayStation games.
Oh, so that's the that's a PlayStation 1 game. Okay,
Yeah,
they did so
it
many different
does-
tactics. Yeah,
It does also run PSP ones, but I decided to just play the
that's a good
original.
one.
And
Yeah, that's a good one.
Chris Triplet. This
Oh.
is my EverDrive that will play Sega CD games. This is how I've been playing Sega CD games,
Sweet.
just off the cart.
I need something like it
It
'cause I
plugs
miss
right into the
playing.
Genesis, and you can play Sega CD games right
Yeah.
off of it.
Yeah,
I ended up not doing it, but I was going to get an Evercade Versus this past month, and other things got in the way of that. I've been weighing up the pros and cons of getting like a mini Amiga 600 next month.
Oh,
Because
when
that's
that
supposed to be
comes
due
out,
out
yeah,
next month.
that's neat looking. The games on it look a lot better. I never played that Amiga, so
Yeah.
the games on it are way nicer than I would have thought.
But one of the selling points for that is they just outright say, "Hey, if you want to load it up full of ROMs,
Sideload games, yeah.
you can. It's going. You
You
can
can do
do
that
this.
with
We've got the capability."
my C64 is over there, but you can
Hmm.
do it with the C64 and the Mini. I've got both.
Well, along those same lines, thanks to Brian, whenever I get that assembled,
Is it not assembled?
I haven't had time, Brian.
I thought it
and-
was assembled. You kept
No,
saying, well, I
no.
moved it. It's in the kitchen. I know I've moved it.
Yeah, that's the At Games that Sam's Club sold with.
Mine's
300
assembled, and I'm playing it, and it's great.
I know I want to. It's just I'm not very technically inclined,
It
and I'm a
doesn't
little
require
worried.
technical skills.
I'm a little worried about diving into it, Brian. It's.
Is,
Do you
is
need
it like
diecast come down and
is it
help?
like the arcade 1-ups, Brian? Is it like
Have you not
that
been to the
simple?
house since I got it? No, I guess you haven't been to the house since I got it. Yeah, it's like that, but larger, and it
Mhm.
and you can basically run your own games on it. So I've got
Cool.
I've got a USB drive. I sent Don one that
Yeah,
has like
I'm just
1,800
not-
ROMs on it.
I'm just not the most technically inclined person, and I'm a little hesitant about jumping into it until I'm in the right frame of mind.
Okay.
But that's the top box is carded Visionaries, the top bottom box is carded GoBots, and then I have it sitting over there where they'll be safe. So hey Matt, what's your rarest GoBot?
Oh, Turbo.
My rarest GoBot. I don't know. I just see a GoBot and buy it.
I did manage.
I
I
mean-
picked up a few. I picked up a Tux and a Night Ranger at a flea market not
Tux is-
too long ago.
Tux is one of my favorite, but I've got the Apollo rocket one that was part of the Machine Robo line. I could have bought the Japan Airlines exclusive one that was only given out on two flights, but they go for about $5,000 a piece.
My God.
Yeah, you've talked about that one before, haven't you, Don?
Yeah, there's that, and then there's one Matt may have seen with it being it was a British Cooper. Yeah, that one goes for stupid amount of money too.
It really does. It's not Tux. It's a different one, isn't it?
It's more square than it's not a limo.
Yeah.
It's just a regular British Mini Cooper with the British flag on top, but it goes
You're
for
right
like
back.
it's super expensive.
Yeah, there used to be a YouTube reviewer called I Love Mess, and he had one of those, so I know exactly what you mean. It just kicks me. I just because obviously we had robo machines over here, so we had access to a whole crap ton of GoBots you guys never got. So
It's like the last one I need carded is a Man of War without the hologram sticker, which I have not, which I've only seen because the hologram sticker knocks out so much of the card art. But because Man of War was the battleship, it was in that last one or two waves. But that thing goes for incredible amounts of money. Scooter.
I know.
Did you get any of the action fit? Did
Frank
you get
Welker.
Did you get any of the action toy machine robo figures?
No. No.
Yeah, those are kind of pricey.
Yeah. I mean, I've got a Super GoBot. I've got a Psykill. That's the most expensive I've got.
I got lucky many years ago, and I picked up Super Cooper, and Throttle.
Oh,
Super Cooper, Throttle, and Spy Eye for about $30 a piece boxed. And I got Twister, Tri-Track, and Torque, the powered riders, for about $40 a piece. But this was a while back.
I had the option to get Puzzler, like a complete Puzzler and the entire power suits, and I never did. And it's one of the things I kicked myself off.
I would love to have another puzzler.
Yeah, I'd love to have a couple more puzzlers.
Yeah, that's one thing I'm surprised we've not seen third party do is
All the puzzlers.
a third. Now I'll be
only have
honest,
one puzzler. Could use
I
one
like Puzzler more than I like
Monstrous.
Monstrous. Yeah,
more. I don't have
Monstrous.
monstrous.
Devil Satan 6.
Hey, Triplet, did you get this? It's the.
Oh no! Is it the limited run? No, I didn't.
It's the limited run version of the Retro Bit Mega Man and Wily Wars.
Cool.
I'll open up the cartridges. Sorry, I don't get to talk about video games much.
No, that's fine. So that's Sega Genesis, right? So it's a
Yeah, it's
Sega Genesis
yeah.
cartridge.
Yeah.
Cool. I love that they're doing that, by the way. Like you get like a limited run version on an old cart, like a Game Boy or a SNES or a Genesis or whatever.
They just, I think, wrapped up a Boy and His Blob sequel.
That's so cool because
Yeah,
they were just doing like current consoles.
No, they've been doing NES and stuff for years.
When they
to
first started, it was
look
like
into that.
PS4 and stuff like that, and Switch, I think. And
Yeah,
then they
but-
started migrating to doing some of that stuff, and that's so cool. I love that they're doing that.
Yeah, but it's been a few years though that they've been.
Yeah,
like,
it's been a few years.
Like
Yeah.
RetroBet will re-engineer the stuff and then they'll sell it. Like there was a Street Fighter cart. This is, I think, the second version of the Wily Wars they've done.
They started getting me when they started doing full motion video games like
Yeah.
Night Trap. That's when they got me. I was
You
like,
got
yes.
what was the one you got? You got Night Trap, but didn't you get?
I have Night Trap. I have Double Switch. I have Ground Zero Texas. And I think I got Corpse Killer.
I think you got Corpse Killer. So here's
that's awesome.
And here's the card. The card is so pretty.
I'm worried about Chris with how much Friday the 13th he plays. That kind of worries me.
I actually haven't been playing much lately. I've been busy. I played it a week ago. I love Friday the 13th. I'm going to replace it with Texas Chainsaw Massacre when it comes out.
So I actually asked Triplet in text a couple days ago or a couple weeks ago, hey, what's the most child appropriate Friday the 13th? We both agreed it's part 6.
I think it's going to be part 6 because if you remove some cursing,
which they hear from me,
and some blood
already,
then that could easily be on television because there's no nudity in that.
Yeah, so
I was going to say 7 because Sue Blue was in it. You know, she's child friendly.
But there's there's plenty of nudity in that one though. So
I don't want to show my kids nudity, but I don't mind showing them gratuitous violence.
He's shown them Evil Dead 2.
I showed them the Evil Dead remake from 2013.
They've seen Evil Dead remake, so yes, it's going to be a cakewalk for Jason Lives.
Morgan,
and you'll also get to see the best Friday the 13th movie.
It's my favorite.
So good.
Yeah, the 5-year-old, she loves Evil Dead Part 2. She wants to watch it all the time.
I love your kids.
Yeah, she's awesome. But she was watching the remake and she actually got scared with that. And because she wants to watch it again.
Remake can be scary,
It's incredibly gory.
The guy that did the Evil Dead remake, he is the guy that produced and did the story for the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre that hit Netflix yesterday.
Oh, cool!
And that movie is gory as heck. Also, it's a stupid movie,
but like at the end,
it's gory as heck.
At the end. When this made me so happy at the end when the girl rips her hand off because it's stuck into the Jeep.
Does the chainsaw,
Yeah. Morgan's like, it's like Evil Dead 2. It's like Evil Dead 2. And I'm like,
did you watch after the credits and see Ash? Did you get to see Ash?
Yeah.
Good groovy?
Yep, groovy.
Yeah. You know, his kids are watching stuff that I want because I cannot do horror.
Yeah.
The Ghostbusters, the librarian scene gave me nightmares for a short period of time. After
literally hundreds of times at this point.
I've been letting my very small kittens watch Squid Game with me.
Nice.
Awesome.
Okay,
you're gonna pollute their minds.
Hey, okay. Assume I'm not someone that's a very current person. Which I know
really? Let's assume.
Hypothetically, I've heard of this thing called Squid Game, but I don't know what it is. If I didn't already
seen Battle Royale,
I've heard of the.
Have you heard of Hunger Games?
Yeah. Oh, you mean Avengers Arena? Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah, it does not have. I was actually surprised. I expected it to have the whole reality games or reality show trappings of that, but that is not how it is. But yeah, it's basically a show about. It's a Korean show. It is in Korean. I am totally okay with watching cartoons dubbed, but I cannot watch live action dubbed. But it is in Korean, and it is it's about some people having to play games, and the losers die. So
I love that.
Really messed up. There's a twist with the fourth game that I figured out because I am a disturbed individual and was thinking, how can this be really messed up? And I was correct. But it's very messed up.
All right,
it's the Crystal Maze, but with actual ramifications.
Well, see, I grew up with the original dubbed Ultraman, so.
Oh, I'm sorry,
just
Don.
like that, Don.
It's
exactly
not
the same.
like that.
Well, bad dubbing.
Like
it's like scale in Transformers. I grew up without scale. It's not really a thing for me, like it is for some people.
I think it's just that with cartoons, the mouth movements are vague enough. Whereas if it's an actual person talking, then I can't deal with it.
Japan did a very similar show about 10 or so years ago. And it had the actors for Kamen Rider Decade and Shinken Red in it. And when I think of Squid Game, my mind goes back to that show. I cannot, for the life of me, remember the title of it now. But I was enjoying the heck out of it back in the day when it aired over on a certain site we cannot talk about here. But I watched it on that. And
Red Tube? What can't we talk about here?
What?
I thought,
Pornhub.
okay, it was Pornhub, Brian. Don't doubt
Okay.
me.
Scandalous.
Yeah, absolutely. Salacious. I'm hoping somebody in the chat there will actually knows what the heck I'm talking about, but I doubt it.
Paladin or Blade Raider should.
The important thing is that people die. Lots of people die. So, Battle Royale is one of my favorite movies.
Oh, and Stone Cold Steve Austin did a very similar movie as well back in the WWE films era.
The Escape, what's it called?
Escape.
The movie he made. What's the movie called?
I don't know, but it had Vinnie Jones in it.
That's the one where he's on the island, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about Stone Cold.
Stone Cold
Something Island.
Is it Condemned? Is it
Condemned?
Condemned. Yeah, I had
There
to
we
think
go.
for a minute.
That's like the best WWE movie they made. That's like their Citizen Kane.
I don't know, dude. Like
that sounds like a really low.
It's a
bar.
John-
that
It
John
is an incredibly
Cena-
low bar.
That John
Well,
Cena
not the
movie
Marine.
with
The
Robert
Marine?
Patrick was a lot of fun.
The Marine?
Yes, that was a lot of fun.
Not
It's
the
a bad
Chaperone?
movie, but it's a lot of fun.
Not Knucklehead?
That was the first time he and Robert Patrick worked together.
I know, and now they're like awesome in Peacemaker. It's so good. Peacemaker was so good, by the way.
Peacemaker, the finale was great.
It was great. I can't wait for season 2. I can't believe I'm saying that about John Cena, and I hate him.
He was in Bumblebee.
I don't
Yeah.
care. I still hate him.
I
Bumblebee was
have
awesome,
no strong
though.
feelings on any wrestling.
Triplet,
Celebrity.
you've got to rise above hate.
It's not happening. As long as I can see him, I will hate
yeah.
him.
Well, Trix, don't worry. I was never into wrestling. I watched American Gladiators. That
It's the
was
same
Yeah.
thing, basically.
Yeah, I watched that. I think the thing is that when wrestling was really kind of a big deal towards the end of the 80s, like my cousin Bubba was super into it. So I kind of just thought of it as a thing that my cousin Bubba would like, and just couldn't get past that. However, I have been rewatching some old G.I. Joe, and I would like to point out that apparently if I upload some Hasbro stuff and Hasbro monetizes it, it means they just throw some Nerf ads on there. If Hasbro puts up their own stuff on their own channel and monetizes it, what that means is that every 3 minutes I get to skip past Grammarly ads. And their ads on their channel are super obnoxious and are
I
for like
actually use
not
Grammarly.
them at all. That's fine, but I don't need to
No,
see their
no,
ads.
I- I still
Do you
get
watch
ads.
advertisements for it every 3 minutes?
I
have-
still get advertisements for it every 3 minutes, and I have been a Grammarly customer for like 3 years.
I don't
have
know
in
what
the
G.I. Joe
past-
is.
Nice.
Action
Oh, that's
horse.
awesome.
I have in the past worked as a professional editor, so I do not need Grammarly.
Like I know how to edit, but I'm also lazy. And it
Yeah,
saves me from
well.
having to think. So is that the normal Havoc? Which Havoc is that? That's not the Sky Havoc. Sky Havoc is
No.
silver.
No, it's normal hammock. There we go. It's the normal green
Oh,
one.
okay, look, I thought
Awesome.
it was blue from the lighting. Yeah.
if it was the Sky Havoc, you would be blind right now. It's sort of like
I want
shining
Sky
a
Havoc so bad.
yeah. It's sort of like shining. It's
No,
like
it'd be
shining,
fine because all the chrome would have flaked
Yeah.
off of it by now.
It's sort of like having great Goldoran and then shining a flashlight right on it, and then it bounces back and blinds you.
Is that Dusty?
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I
it's Dusty.
did. I jumped ahead. My normal tendency would be to watch the whole series in order from the start, but I decided to jump ahead to Arise
Why?
Serpentor Arise.
Oh, I did
No.
the same thing when I got the
No.
box set off of Amazon like 2-3 weeks ago.
I love it.
Straight to season
You're-
2, Arise
It-
Serpentor Arise.
The degree
Awesome.
to which they are trying to convince us all that Sergeant Slaughter, a professional wrestler, is this
Brilliant
incredible
military
military.
strategist.
Hey,
yeah.
I was convinced from the start.
I was too. And it was all stolen valor.
Yeah.
I was convinced as a child,
Yeah.
but I mean now
I-
I'm like, I don't know, buddy. I don't.
He was called Sergeant Slammer over here.
Really?
Oh, that-
I didn't know that.
Because
Oh yeah, if you
Slaughter
look
is
up,
What if he
too
wrestled? If he
violent.
wrestled, was he? Did he still had to go by Sergeant Slaughter? I would imagine.
yeah, he still went by Sergeant Slaughter.
On the
But it was
cartoon.
censorship something. It was when it was redubbed into Action Force over here. They just renamed him Sergeant Slammer.
I mean,
Which-
to be fair, Slaughter is an actual legitimate surname. I don't know if it's his.
Yeah.
No,
legally.
it's not.
Yeah, I think when Toy Galaxy did their thing on GI Joe, they mentioned that about how some stuff had to be changed for the UK.
You need to watch the Toy Galaxy of Action Force because it covers so much.
I think maybe that's where I know I've seen.
It does it on GI Joe as well, but you need to
Yeah.
watch the two together because the Action Force one just
See,
covers so much.
My
I
oldest,
keep. Go ahead.
I would say my oldest friend, Fred, is an absolute huge Action Force fan. He bought about 200 of the comics a couple of years ago from a seller in the UK and had them shipped to him. He's also been trying to find the skull flyer, skull thing.
Good luck.
He is still looking for that. 15 years. I've known him for over 20 years. He's been looking for 15 years for one and still can't.
But he's
get one.
he's looking for it at a certain price, right? Because you can get it. You just have to pay out the nose for it.
Yeah, but one where he can afford and his wife won't kill him.
It's like I've been looking for a flag as well. I mean, I can find them all the time, just not one that I want to pay for.
You had a flag and you gave it up, Brian.
I didn't have it in my possession. I just said
but,
no.
but you could have had
You
it.
could have.
Yeah.
I've been trying to convince. We have sort of a to-do list over on Stasis Pod for our like between season and Patreon stuff for months that we don't have like some obvious thing like a Marvel movie release to talk about. And one of them is definitely me making the guys watch There's No Place Like Springfield. Because that's the Dark Awakening of G.I. Joe.
That's
that was
awesome.
the one that stayed with me.
I watched it just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
I realized apart from my father, who has a master's in microbiology and has done a bunch of genetics related stuff, him being very excited by Arise Serpentor Arise because it had stuff about DNA.
There's a couple of episodes of G.I. Joe that are just crazy dark. Like, what was the episode where the Joe agent gets turned into a whale or something? Or I was like, there's some dark stuff
That's
going
gotta
on
be
here.
a
Remember-
dick episode.
Apart from the Serpentor thing having, involving
Dr.
DNA and
Mindbender turned it a
everything.
Joe agent into a whale or something. I remember it.
I couldn't remember any specific, I couldn't have told you any specific thing that happened in any G.I. Joe episode except for Destro and Lady J being held over a cauldron in the basement of a Scottish castle. And There's No Place Like Springfield, because There's No Place Like Springfield just burrowed into my, I could not have told you, okay, maybe Colts or the Viper.
Cold Slither.
The
Yeah,
Viper
the Viper.
episode and maybe Cold Slither.
There
I
was
showed
the
Viper to
episode
kids
with
recently.
What was that two-parter where they go to the alternate reality?
Yeah, that's a dark one too. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the one that sticks with me the most, is where they all three decide to stay
They
behind.
find their dead bodies. I mean, good lord, there were dead bodies in a G.I. Joe. What?
I didn't remember that, but I remember There's No Place Like
Why
Springfield.
can't I think of the name of it? I
Also-
watched that. I literally watched that one with the kids a couple days ago. Why can't that's a classic, and I can't think of the
Yeah.
name.
I
It's
can't
the
remember
Steeler
either.
episode.
It's the
one of
Steeler
my-
episode. Yeah.
One of my co-hosts is Canadian. And so he's also like 10 years younger than the rest of us. So we actually did a G.I. Joe Christmas episode for one of our holiday episodes.
Check the
And
Discords.
He
They can
was
tell us.
not expecting G.I. Joe to involve so much like mad science. He was
It's a
not
lot.
expecting people to be getting shrunk. He just had this
There's the
idea of
episode where
G.I.
Lowlight
Joe.
is having like Nightmare on Elm Street nightmares.
Worlds Without Ends.
Yeah.
Thank you, Spencer Wild.
It's a great show. It's so crazy.
Your dad should do a YouTube video where he watches Arise Serpentor Rise and then talk about why this doesn't work.
Yeah,
Why
now as
DNA
an
does
adult,
not work like this.
this is not how DNA works.
Just to rewind it back a little bit, you're skipping all the good stuff, because if you haven't seen like the Mass Device or the Revenge of Cobra, you're missing out in a glorious scene where Snake Eyes is dressed like Boy George,
Yes,
because he's in disguise.
Awesome.
So you need to witness this. You need to experience.
I still want an
this.
action figure of that, by the way, in classified.
I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
could
mean, I'm
just
certain Super 7 will probably do
you
well.
could just
I want to know
Something.
where I need a classified Lifeline, because
Yes,
I
yes.
had forgotten about him.
I want a
until
classified
Rise of
Tiger
Fender
Force
Reference.
Lifeline.
And how he's
Oh,
so
yes.
great because he's just a pacifist as a military.
Yeah, he and First Aid are
Position.
like my
Lifeline was
mind,
one of
same
my-
character.
Yeah, Lifeline was
Buddies.
one of my first GI Joes.
have the
I wish
Kellogg's
they would,
Milk one. That's the only
I wish
one that
they
I
would
had.
just do a Tiger Force line at Target. If they're going to do exclusives of something, I think I'd rather they do that than.
Oh, she want
Yeah,
a Tiger
I-
Force shirt.
I
Yeah.
pre-ordered Outback because he just, you know what it was with Outback was he came with that little army flashlight.
Yeah.
And my dad liked going to army surplus places. So we had a couple of those around when I was a kid, and just the like memory of that object was like, I need this toy and I'm taking him camping with me. He's going to sit there by the campfire with me on top of my Yeti, and he's going to watch the campfire while I go to the bathroom because I go camping alone.
I can imagine. I can see them doing a Cold Slither set if there's ever something to justify that big of a price point.
Yeah.
That would be
Good,
nice.
because that would be an expensive. That would be like a $200 set probably, or
I love
hey,
the
that could be a
Dreadnoughts.
Hascon.
Hasbro Pulses.
I mean, Hasbro
Pulse
Fast,
a Pulse,
PulseCon.
a Pulse, Hasbro,
Just
HasLab,
Just do a
HasLab.
giant set of all the Dreadnoks together.
So is
So
it
they-
just me, or is anyone else always a little weirded out by Zartan being bald under a hood, because they always animated his hood like it was hair?
I always
Yeah,
thought it
same.
was hair.
You know what's really messed up? But he turns blue in the sun.
Yeah.
I adore Zartan. He's my favorite character.
I
He's
like
great.
him a lot.
Is
I
it?
need classified Zarana like
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
More
had a
Dreadnoughts.
point. At
Yeah.
one point, I tried to turn one of
A
my
mainframe
Barbie
to go with
dolls
her.
into a 12-inch Zarana.
I want a mainframe.
More Dreadnoks and a scaled Thunder Machine.
That's going to be
It-
expensive, though.
And then
Yes.
you need to do you need to do the repaint so that they can give it to the Street
Street Fighters, yes.
There you go.
Is it sad that two of my favorite Joes are Bazooka and Shipwreck?
Oh, Shipwreck
not
is
at
great
all.
though.
We don't have either
I
of those in
loved that Bazooka
classified
toy
either.
for years.
How do we not have a Shipwreck yet in
I
classified?
don't know. That's
He was,
insane.
like such a major character.
He was,
in
he
the
was
cartoon.
one of the most popular characters from the original.
Well, the thing
series,
is, though,
yeah.
it's like Cobra Commander. I want a better Cobra Commander in that line than what we got in that first one, because
get
that
it.
that outfit just does not.
We'll probably get 40 classified Cobra Commanders. It's coming. Trust me.
See, I knew when I was invited to this chat, I was like, Brian, I haven't bought a Transformer in over 2 years. And he was like, no, it's fine.
I'm
It's
sitting
fine."
here playing Astro Boy on the Game Boy Advance.
And here we go, talking about Action Force.
My because we don't do video on my podcast, my apartment is not set up for having all the toys
I
behind
have-
me, and
yeah.
also
I have
because of my
totes
cat
behind me.
situation.
And bear studs.
Yeah, most of my stuff is in totes right now because of my cat situation, and I haven't gotten around to buying shelves since I moved.
There's
Because I moved
there's
in.
a pile right below the frame on my floor. Like
Right.
I have a giant plushie of a Mr. Man character. I've got
Oh, that's
no.
awesome. Your wife likes them, right? If I remember right. Yeah.
I do have
Look at
some-
all the crap we
Speaking
have.
of fan made toys, I have a little plushy Rung,
That's wonderful.
and he's a little dusty because my place gets dusty. I've got a little plushy Rodimus,
Aw. I love his cheeks.
and I've got a little buddy. I got a little Drift.
Aw.
So I picked these up at TFCon. See, I like fan made stuff. So
Yeah.
that's how I approach third party stuff, not as any kind of official legitimate thing, but just as a fan expression, because they are made by fans. You know,
Supposedly.
it's well,
I'm kidding.
that's
Well,
fair.
those plushies were.
Yeah.
Yes, the plushies are, but I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's not like knockoffs where they're just taking a toy and, you know, cutting a mold of it and pooping them out. It's, you know, there's actual love of the
Knockoffs do have their
characters
charm,
going-
though.
Oh God, yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
they do, man. I feel like we don't get the great instructions with them that we used to, though. 'Cause
No,
we
Google
used to
Google
get-
ruined that for
Yeah.
us by making your translation better.
Yeah, yeah. Because that was the best thing around like 99, 2000. Was
Yeah,
just
Babelfish
getting
instructions
the-
are inherently superior to Google Translate instructions.
Yes.
Like, there's just no comparison.
Every time I hear about Power Joe from one of the Brave series,
Jay
I
Decker.
think about from Jay Decker. I had a knockoff of that set, and one of the
That's a build
instructions
figure
was
set.
one of the instructions was Power Joe to be made floating up.
Nice.
Okay.
I don't know anything about Brave. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Ooh.
The original Takara DX Galgaigar.
So
Yes.
there is there's a website called Toonami Aftermath, and they just have I don't want to say pirate feed, but they have an unauthorized feed that they just run like old commercials, and they run a bunch of old Toonami shows, and they run some stuff that could have been Toonami shows. And one of them on weekends around 4 p.m. Eastern time, I think they show the Gal Gaigar dub.
That sounds
And
amazing.
of course, they have to stop when they run out of the dub because they don't run subbed stuff because they wouldn't have run sub stuff
Yeah.
on Toonami.
Oh God,
That's a
because
great concept.
it's
They cycle it with Megas XLR, actually. So when they run out of episodes, they then show all of Megas XLR.
It's not like you can tell the difference.
And then after it, you get Evangelion. And I believe they cycle Evangelion with Big O. And also on weekdays I think, and the thing is at work, there was a while where we were just up in a little conference room. So I was just up there by myself a lot. So I would watch it a lot. I think around 3:30 or so on weekdays, there's a slot that cycles between Beast Machines and Reboot.
Okay, so how do I get to this place?
It's called ToonamiAftermath.com.
Okay.
They also have earlier on weekday afternoons, they have a block that you have to think about it for a second because they don't explicitly call it this, but it's clearly the Marvel versus Capcom block. Because they show X-Men and then they show like Mega Man, like the Ruby Spears Mega Man.
That side chat looks so much like Merc.
The side chat is best ignored. And then they show like the 90s Spider-Man, and then they show like Street Fighter cartoons. So it's Marvel versus Capcom. But yeah, so every weekend around 4 p.m., I get to be angry that Gal Gaigar dub was never finished because it was really good.
It was a solid dub, and you had Dan Green doing the voice of Tigra. Jeez, or I can't ever pronounce this.
Tiger. So
Tiger,
T-A-I-G-A.
Thank you.
Yeah, you had the original voice of Ash Ketchum, and you had Dean Venture, and it's so
I'm,
good. It's
I'm
just
currently-
such a good dub.
I'm currently watching a streamer do the full run of Super Robot Wars 30, and a heavy chunk of that is Gal Gaigar and all the iterations of within. So I'm going through a massive sort of Gal Gaigar withdrawal symptom at the moment.
I am so happy that game got an official release. Just in English.
Now, if only the cowards would actually release the other ports of that so I could play it on my Switch, that would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm glad they're bringing these things out at all, but I wish they would expand beyond Steam. Also,
Yes.
just G Generation Genesis really needs to come out here officially in some format, because I have sold so many people copies of that game now. Just it's ridiculous. Just I have had like a dozen people in my comments say I bought this game because I watched you play it, and just it's really good. And
yeah, I've been thinking that I would like to get the Super Robot Wars one, but also I like having physical copies of things.
Yes,
and it
physical
sounds-
copies are great.
yeah,
as you know, for reasons such as what we're now seeing with the 3DS and Wii U shops shutting down. If you reset your system, are you going to be able to actually ever get your copy of that game you paid for again?
Crap. Probably not.
I think, and again, this is me having gone over completely to the other side. I want to say the Steam version is not Mac compatible. So it would probably involve. Look, before I was doing Mac, I was running Linux on everything.
I mean, you can
so-
run Unix based or Linux. Can't you do like cross compatible stuff? I mean,
there's a tool called Crossover, which I have not actually gotten around to paying for yet, because I am spending all my money on toys and electronics. But there is basically the same sort of like Windows emulation-y kind of stuff that you have on.
Oh, I guess maybe it's the not the new version, because the old version of Mac OS X I thought was Unix based.
It is Unix based. The problem at this point is that I do not regret getting the new Apple M1 processor version, but for a while Macs were running on Intel processors. So it was a lot easier to emulate Windows stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a little bit, they're still catching up with the ARM-based processors. So someday, maybe. I just like gaming on the Switch better anyway.
Sorry, I want to go dig this out to show Matt. I don't know if he has any plans on getting it or not, but
I'm poor, John. I'm so poor, but that is a beaut.
What is it, Don, for people who will eventually
sorry,
be listening to this?
Yeah, I'm kind of out of hands. It's the Pose Plus Galgaigar, which is a very different take than the Soul Shigoken version. It's a very Soul Shigoken is more anime looking. This is more. What would you say? This is more toy, Matt, or more real world than the Soul Shigoken?
Throw it up a bit, Ken, just so I can judge. Because I mean, obviously, I've got the toy, so the best way of saying, stylized toy. I'd say more stylized toy. There's more detail.
Kind of like if Flame Toys did Galgaigar, kind of.
Yeah, more or less.
I did used to have the Korean release of the symmetrical combiners. I think David Coloni Neji had a whole bunch of a warehouse find of them at BotCon for a year or two.
And Enryu.
Yeah,
yes.
and also
and the other two.
Ryu
and
Ryu, that did the that's my favorite version is the crane and the dump truck.
So those were a lot of fun. I ended up, I believe, if I remember correctly, when I was eventually selling off a whole lot of stuff to pay for my attempt at a freelance career, I believe those got bought by a friend of the show, Paladin, on eBay, as it turns out. So also, it is 1:30 Eastern time. I have to leave for work in about half an hour, so I need to go pack a lunch and clean up kitty boxes.
Well, thanks for being here. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for dropping by, Jen.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me. It's a lot of fun to get to do these. Like I said, we don't do video on mine, so every so often I have to actually
I shouldn't do it on ours. I mean, look at all that crap back there.
put on a nice shirt. Put on a nice shirt, I say in air quotes, because I'm wearing a Transformers t-shirt. So thanks for having me.
Bye, Jen. See you later.
Thanks for being
Showing
here.
around.
Take care.
Okay, let's see here.
Did you say McFeely's coming, Brian?
At some point, and so is Charles from Transmissions.
I was hoping he would get here before I have to leave.
When do you have to leave?
Why don't I may have to leave at 2?
Okay.
He probably won't be here before 2, will he?
You've got me roughly for about another hour.
Okay. I figured that's about as long as we're going to go, honestly. I mean, there's no toy fair, so.
Matt, I also think they're
And I need to
doing
go buy some Sega Saturn games.
Yes, you do.
I say, Matt, I think they also got works for a Soul Shigoken Gal Figar, I think.
There was at least two more. You got Genesis Gal, which is the one with the
Yeah,
beautiful mane
that's the
hair.
one I don't like them that I don't care for.
But everyone else is just glazing over right now, Don. Just pointing out. No, but you've also got Gal Go from the manga.
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
Mamoru's one.
Yeah, you all see them when I talk about Miraculous Ladybug. Just
that's you shut me down at that point.
Hey, Don, who owns Ladybug? I saw that on Disney or something to do with Disney.
It's Zag Entertainment. It's produced in France.
I thought Disney might have a piece of it because I saw it something to do with Disney the other day. And I was wondering if it was.
I haven't followed the behind the scenes stuff. I just watch the show and keep waiting for them to stop yanking the rug out from like the two main heroes finding out the other's identities, and they've done it, and they've done it twice, and they've erased it both times in the same episode.
I've never watched it, but for some reason I have it in my mind that it's like Sailor Moon. Is that what it's like?
No.
For some reason I thought it was.
Well, it's every magical show since Sailor Moon has parts of Sailor Moon in it. Yeah, but no, it's the mythology is very different. It's a really fun show. It's just we're getting to the point where, okay, you're reaching the end game. They still don't know each other's identities, and so many plot points would have been made easier if they did know each other's identities. So just do it like Peter, get off the pot, basically.
Okay.
There's some Gundam discourse going on in the Discord right now between me and XV. He's besmirching my favorite show, Stardust Memory. I can't have that.
You have opinions, Matt. You have opinions.
I definitely have opinions. It's beautiful. I mean, it didn't make me go off and buy this great big giant thing for a start. I mean, no.
I don't have a horse in the race since I've only ever watched Gundam Wing, so I'm sorry.
Oh, that's right. I think near enough everybody that's not massive Gundam guys probably only ever watched Gundam Wing.
Hey! I started with G.
You're certified G, Don.
He is.
I started with G Gundam, so I'm. It's weird that I've gotten more enjoyment from build fighters other than divers than I have watching a lot of other stuff through the years.
Yeah, I'm going through the Universal Century again right now, so I know pain, my friends. I know pain. I've just started Double Zeta again.
I don't know if it's going to be available in the UK, but they are putting stuff up on Gundam Info for free viewing again, like over the next couple of weeks, like just about all the movies, including
we get it.
Okay, good.
I've been watching G Fighter via YouTube, so I know.
Okay, yeah, because they're going to put up like just about every Gundam movie there is up to the third G Reco movie, which I think is the most recent one.
That's cool.
But each one's only going to be up for like 3 days.
It can't be Hathaway because I think they've got exclusivity thing going on with Netflix with those.
Netflix, that's Hathaway
like
Flash isn't on there.
Yeah, that's one of the ones that isn't. But
somebody said there's more Gundam than Wing. Why? And I said because Gundam existed long before Gundam Wing. You just don't know it.
Yep.
I think the very first Gundam show I ever watched was Char's Counterattack, and I hadn't a Scooby-Doo what was going on there.
In the US, we got that before Zeta Gundam was officially available, which certainly was an interesting thing without, half the context that it needs.
Exactly. I mean, the very first time I watched anything with Char and Amuro was Char's Counterattack. So I pretty much watched the end of it all before I even began.
That's sort of like me because my first exposure to Evangelion was the finale. I had no idea what was going on.
Yeah, never start at the end.
You don't necessarily have that much more of an idea of what's going on if you start at the beginning.
No, you don't.
Somebody just said my favorite Gundam on Discord and posted a picture of cubics.
Robots for everybody?
Huh? Yeah. It just dawned on me. You just said the tagline.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I actually tried watching Cubic, and I mean, I can watch shows that are not made for my target audience and still enjoy them, like Rescue Bots. I've loved Rescue Bots. It was such a good series. But I tried watching Cubics and I tried watching Bots Master. I could not.
Oh,
could
Bots
not
Master
watch
is
them.
amazing.
I could not watch them. It just grated on my nerves.
But Dom, what time is it? Dom, what time is it?
It's morphing
laser,
time.
It's laser time. No, it's laser
It's
time.
laser time, Dom. Laser time. You don't have time for laser time. There's just no time for anything. And on that note,
well, time is the fire in which we burn. So I mean,
Very good, Don.
Yeah.
Hi, McFeely.
Lads, how are we?
There he is. I've been waiting just for you. I want to say hey.
It has been a long time. How are we all?
Good.
It's been a while. We
It
haven't
has been
spoken
a
to each
minute.
other in a long time.
And
Probably the last one of these.
y'all live like
No, we don't, Dom.
No, don't do it. Don't do that. I gotta get on a plane.
I mean, on the map, you're like right beside each other.
Done. Just to make it political, my country keeps screwing his country over at the moment. So
Gonna get into that.
yeah,
Well, I mean, I'm
This
just
is
saying,
a
it looks like
a nice happy place.
it's a very happy place.
Very happy
Don,
place.
don't stir. Don't
Okay,
stir.
all
Don.
right. Well, I want to thank Chris McFeely up
Yeah,
front.
you gotta be more specific. We got 3 Chris podcasts.
Yeah,
right
no,
now.
you gotta
Yeah.
just use the
I am too
surnames
mad.
at this point.
Yeah.
I did not.
Because he did a shout out to me in the RC basics that I appreciate.
Oh
I
yes,
believe that was a shout out to me.
Oh God, I need to go back and watch
Yes.
that.
And you did Circuit Breaker because I was trying to get a Patreon spot for him to cover Neo Knights, if nothing else for Obscure Characters Month. And I never could snag one because they were gone seconds after they went up. But he covered Circuit Breaker, and so I'm appreciative for you for doing that.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate you appreciating me. I appreciate your viewership, Don, and that was absolutely a sidelong shout out to you in the RC one. Though I had to remember what you were referring to there for a moment.
You've only
My-
done how many?
This is the 169th. Just went up today. Tigertron.
Nice.
Gosh,
169.
Yeah, I know, right?
How in the hell?
it doesn't
I
seem like
know,
you've
right?
been doing them that long. How did you?
This
get
year
that
is the
high?
5th anniversary.
Oh my God!
Damn, man.
This June is 5 years.
What is
Jeez.
happening with time?
I know.
It
is
the
the fire
last,
which we
the
burn.
last
which
2
we burn.
years kind of don't count, as
Yeah.
far as counting all the time works, But as I said, I don't know when I was last on one of these because I haven't been
A year
on. I
before
wasn't on
last,
last.
I think.
I don't think it was, honestly.
Because I don't think we've actually spoken to each other in about 4 years, Chris.
Could
It,
be.
it
honestly.
could have been
If
it could have been the last time Toy Fair had a Toy Fair, right?
I-
I think
that
I
was
think it was the last time
probably-
we had a
Yeah.
real Toy Fair. I don't
Yeah.
think
Real
McFeely was able
Toy
to make
Fair.
it last
maybe.
year.
Well, that's
Yeah,
at
no,
least
definitely not
3
last year.
years then,
Yeah.
because there
we haven't
wasn't
done
there wasn't one in 20, was there?
we in
No,
the
No, we
time-
had
so.
a Toy Fair in 2020. That
It
was the
was
last one.
right before the lockdown. So,
Yeah.
So
I
yeah,
feel like I
it's-
didn't
it's
make
probably
that one,
been 2
honestly.
years.
No, listen. The last time I was on here, Brian, you did not have kids, and Dawn, you were not engaged. So there is a lot that has gone on here.
and I was sitting on the floor. Now I have a desk and a chair.
Oh yeah, you don't.
Hey, I got a
Before.
chair recently too.
Wow.
Oh,
Chairs
see,
are
Matt, I
awesome.
thought you just had your ceiling lowered.
Oh, dude, I got a table. I got
Wow.
a chair.
Oh,
I've
you're
upgraded in the
You're
world,
coming up
man.
in the world, yeah.
I have toys of myself.
Fantastic.
I'm not even joking. There's another one.
Yeah,
So,
but,
hey-
but can he straddle a chair?
So McFeely, I have to say
Ah.
something weird happened. So I've been listening, like one of the first podcasts I ever started listening to was Retronauts, and your co-host was on recently.
Dave Boomer.
Yeah. And
Which
it was just
episode,
really
Brian?
odd. It was just really odd, like, oh, there's a just he's talking about you, and I'm like, I know him.
It's a small, incestuous little world, this internet, isn't it?
What was the episode he was on?
Sonic, the Sonic.
The video games. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Hang on. Dave
Like
did
I-
something about Sonic. I don't
I
believe.
know, right? No, that is why I know I haven't been on for a couple of years, because we always record Sonic the Comic, the podcast. That's the podcast I do, for those
Yep.
who do not know. We always record on Saturdays, and we record 3 Saturdays out of every 4. And this year, just so happens today, is not. is the one Saturday off.
We'll have to
I was
start,
like,
to
oh
be fair, we'll
yeah,
have to
come on,
start
get back
being
on.
the Saturday you don't record.
We can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've don't know anything about the Sonic comics or anything like that. I didn't follow
Listen to
that.
the
know now more than
podcast.
I thought
I know.
that I would know.
I want to. It's just I was afraid that would be something that I'd be lost in. But but when y'all posted stuff, I've read the pages that you're talking about. In some cases, it's like, this is Sonic.
Yeah, I know. So, well, you're probably reading like the Streets of Rage and stuff where people are getting capped in the street, and you're
So
like, "This
I-
was in a Sonic comic."
Oh, written by Mark Miller.
Mark Miller.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Wait, Mark.
Oh
Miller-
yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
He wrote some of the very earliest Sonic strips in Sonic the Comic.
He
I suppose
sure
I
did.
should say, like, for all the Transformers fans in the audience, who are all of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, I and Dave Bulmer host a fortnightly podcast called Sonic the Comic, the podcast, which is an issue-by-issue retrospective of the British Sonic the Hedgehog comic from the 90s. And yeah, we go through all the strips, all the ads, all the news about all the old video games and everything. And I mean, Don, you should listen in because we have a lot of listeners who don't like Sonic, don't care about Sonic,
it's
but
not
just
that
enjoy the show.
Oh, I don't. It's not that I don't like Sonic. I just never got into it, other than past watching some episodes of Sat AM and loving that opening theme. That's really about it.
So this happened years before we were recording Fanboy Versus, so I don't know that I ever got your opinion on this. What do you think about the Marvel Knight Spider-Man comic that Miller did?
Oh, Miller's. I'm not sure I ever read it. I know I read
I
some
don't
of
even
it.
remember it honestly at this
So
point.
like it's like the hyper geek. He loves Spider-Man, and he's to Spider-Man kind of like how Mark Waid is to Superman. Like he so like if so basically you just try to sneak in all these little nerdy references and stuff, and I actually kind of liked it. Like, I don't hate Mark Miller like a lot of people do. I hate some of his stuff.
I like some of his
Yeah.
stuff and hate some of his stuff. You kind of have to pick and choose with him.
I don't know that he's done anything really worth chatting about for years
It's
now.
been a
It's
while.
all become very homogenous.
He's done his own kind of created comic stuff,
With-
and
yeah,
some
the
of that's
content
not
mill.
great. Yeah,
So
not great.
I'm going to sell Sonic the Comic to some of the people around here just by saying, hey, you know, in the Sonic games, when Sonic gets all the Chaos Emeralds and he turns into Super Sonic, it's just Sonic, but golden.
Super Saiyan Sonic, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's an entirely different character when he turns into Super Sonic in Sonic the Comic, and he is a psychopath. He's a utter psychopath.
Is he going to be a psychopath when he does that in the movie? Because I'm predicting he's going to do that in the movie.
I'm thinking they might save that for number 3.
You think? I was thinking they're going to do it in the second one because
How
I
else is it
remember
gonna be
doing
numbered?
that in Sonic
that's,
2 the game.
that's what they just introduced the Chaos Emeralds. I mean,
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
the MCU
they're-
didn't get all the Infinity Stones at once.
No, they didn't.
They've announced they're doing Sonic 3, and now everybody is speculating over whether the red 3 means Metal Sonic or Shadow. And my no one knows to say it's a theory, but my belief as far as storytelling goes is Robotnik builds an evil robot. It should be Metal Sonic, and
makes
Robotnik will
sense.
build an evil
Yeah.
robot Sonic.
Do you think
and
Michael
Sonic
Jackson will
be
come
able-
back to do the music for Sonic 3?
Who?
Michael Jackson. he worked on the
Yes.
music.
I didn't
They're
hear
gonna-
you properly. I didn't hear you. Jeez.
They're going to plonk out the fridge. They're going to crank that bad boy open, and he's just going to go woohoo right out of it. Yes, Brian. Yes.
But yeah, the way is if Robotnik builds Metal Sonic, then the way and the idea is that they do the old OVA thing where you know what I'm thinking, I know what you're thinking, strange, isn't it? And they're perfectly equally matched. And the way Sonic is able to defeat the copy is to go beyond the limits of metal and do what only flesh can and channel the Chaos Emeralds, become Super Sonic, invade him. And that to me seems like a story beat.
So how does it feel that your podcast might have made Sonic more popular and it made it a successful film franchise? I like to think that it did.
I like to think so. It definitely didn't, but I like to think it did.
It's like
Because
Korn-
God,
Korn will have
announcing
to like
Sonic
make the
3.
ultimate song to like have the video, like the fan made video for when Sonic goes supersonic. Like they'll have to do like, I don't know. Maybe Korn's not enough. Maybe they have to throw in some Godsmack or something.
I would love if it was Korn though. They would get my my vote of confidence if they do corn.
Just give up and get Crush 40 in to do it.
But dude, like they're announcing Sonic 3 before Sonic 2 even comes out.
They're
There's
confident.
a Knuckles TV show. Dude, what is going on? Sonic is hot right now.
I remember something when you were saying about that. That reminded me. That reminded me, Philly, of the death battle between Vegeta and Shadow.
Oh,
Wait, Vegeta
don't
versus Shadow
watch
the
it. Wouldn't
Hedgehog?
know.
Yeah. There was a death battle, and it was
When
like
did they meet?
No, it's death battle. They just have
like
fights
YouTube
between
series.
characters.
Wow.
Yeah. It just reminded me like
Vegeta's got to win that, right?
Yeah, he
There's
walked
no
all
way
over
Vegeta
Sonic.
can't win that.
Yeah, he walked. Shadow had the whatevers, and it didn't work. And it's just when you talk about powering up and going beyond Saiyan and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
it just
Well,
reminded
that to me is what leads into doing Shadow in a fourth movie, because if the idea is that Sonic is able to beat Metal Sonic by being the organic creature able to use the power of the emeralds, which a robot can't do, then Shadow is make him an organic creation that can do that, because being able to use chaos energy is one of Shadow's whole things in the game. Now that does throw out his whole complex angsty early 2000s backstory from the games, but
is he gonna have a gun?
Well, that's the question, isn't it?
But I mean, I thought Shadow was like always. He was the Hulk. He was always angry. I thought he was just this angry thing that just didn't like any.
When did a character show up besides Knuckles? I have no idea where all these characters came from.
Oh, every new game is a new character.
You had Sonic Adventure. Remember, there was a cat that fished. Brian, think about this.
He's had cartoons and comics, and
that's what I want. I want the Biggs the Cat TV show where he fishes. That's what I want.
Fishing with Big the Cat, just like a gentle chill out show. Bob Ross style.
It's like a Bob Ross. That's exactly what I was thinking about.
I'd make a Bill
Sonic Universe slice of life anime. Yeah,
I'd make a Bill dance joke, but nobody would probably get it except for maybe Brian. So
I wouldn't get it. I don't even know what you're talking about.
So
I'd make a Fred Kirby joke. Would you get that done?
Probably not.
Okay.
So, Chris, I'm reading the chat on YouTube right now. We've had a question. So, hey, Chris McFeely, if that is indeed your real name. Out of curiosity, have you read any of the Sonic comics made by either Archie or IDW?
Yeah, not as much of the Archie stuff. I was reading the Archie stuff years after the fact, obviously, because I had to overcome my long, deep-seated hatred of our ancient rivalry that goes back 25 years. No, I read like the first 50-odd issues of the Archie stuff because they'd put it out in big like Marvel Essential black and white phone book style collections. They were going to do another one, but then we know what happened there. They lost the license and everything. And by all accounts, that's kind of when I lucked out, because that's after 50. That's when it gets fully pandered and just goes off the rails until Ian Flynn comes in. And I read a bunch of the Ian Flynn stuff when I was working in comics retail. I discovered years after the fact that I actually started working in comics retail just as he started writing it. So I was actually there for a lot of the earliest stuff that he did. And I thought, this isn't nearly as bad as all the rubbish I've heard about this comic before. And I've read all the trades of the IDW stuff that's available up to now as well. I mean, the IDW stuff is like a year behind in trades, but now I'm eight volumes deep on it and all the miniseries and everything so far. And the first year was not good, but it got a lot better. I enjoyed. I don't know, everybody moaned about the Metal Virus arc, but I was like, oh hey, stakes, characters, emotion. That's more than the first 12 issues had.
I'm about 2 volumes into the IDW run, and although I agree with you that storytelling wise, it's not particularly
There's
great.
Nothing there, man.
Character-wise, there's some great stuff there. I mean, I like the little bromance between Sonic and Knuckles. The little small things like them fist bumping each other. I like that you got the female representation there, and it's all kinds of lovely stuff there. I mean, I'm yet to continue reading past volume 2, but I like what I've seen so far.
Volume 2, just that's what 8 issues deep, yeah.
Yeah, it's about the first 8.
Don't know if there are any bigger collections. And it's just like that first trade where like nothing happens.
Yeah.
Also, runs around the planet and beats up robots, and literally nothing happens. Like,
just also, I was about to start a point when Trickster was with us. Obviously, she's gone now. But
I just missed her. Obviously.
I made a connection with Transformers and whether they're going to sort of like republish everything to whatever studio picks them up. So yes and no, because when I brought up the Sonic thing, what I was going to say was there's a reason why IDW haven't been republishing any
Oh yeah,
of the
that's
Archie
it. I mean,
comics.
they can't. That's the sad thing. Until somebody dies or sells up, that Archie stuff is locked out. It'll never be reprinted.
There's an entire smorgasbord of legal problems attached to at least the
just one big one.
Really? Well,
what is it? Because I don't know.
Oh, okay. Well, basically, the guy Ken Penders, the writer who wrote the comic for the majority of its history, between when did he come on? Sometime around in the 30-ish issues, then became the comic's main writer, then co-writer, and wrote it through. Well, what was it, like 160, something like that? Good long time. Anyway, created leagues upon leagues of original the characters do not steal.
Oh,
and unlike with Transformers, where as we are all well versed in the fact that if a character is created and debuts in a Transformers comic, Hasbro owns it. Paperwork could not be produced proving that this was the case for the Archie stuff. And it started when he believed that BioWare, who created the Sonic Chronicles RPG game for Nintendo DS, had copied some of the characters that he'd created for the comics. They didn't have the same names, but thematically there were similarities. And he copyrighted his characters. And that kicked off a whole legal battle where it was like, you can't do that, they're ours, and nobody could. They claimed the contract that he had signed, which he claimed he had never signed and didn't exist, had been destroyed in a fire. So but the end result of the legal battle was that he acquired the legal rights to all the characters he created for the comic, which meant that the Sonic comics had to be Crisis on Infinite Earth, and the whole universe rebooted to wipe all these characters out of existence. And then a couple of years later, Archie lost the license entirely, and they've never openly said why it happened, because it wasn't a slow wind down like we're currently experiencing with IDW's Transformers, where obviously they're going to work towards getting a real end. It was a rug pull, and they just stopped midstream. And he's perfectly willing to license the characters so that they can reprint the stories and use the characters if they'll pay for them. But Sega owning up with them.
And it's pretty much the reason why in the IDW run you got no original characters in that run at all. It's all
there are quite a few original. Of course, if you're only 2 volumes in, there are quite a few original characters in the IDW stuff. But I figure the license, I think maybe they have like a Hasbro style license now that says the Sega owns them, because Tangle and Whisper have been in mobile games. There's been merch made of them, so it seems like it seems like they have a Hasbro style license where Sega will not own any new characters.
They're making sure somebody knows where the paperwork is that says so.
I mean, it's also been said that it's caused Sega to have really draconian rules about how the characters can be represented, because a lot of what Penders did with the comic was like giving Sonic parents and giving Knuckles a massive extended family. So Sega has a rule. It's like nobody can ever have relatives anymore. You can't do that.
Well, in the original Sonic cartoon, they gave Tails a family, but it just ended up being the Robotnik's cronies pretending to be.
I thought you were going to talk about Uncle
Chuck there. Yeah, but he was created for the cartoon, not for the comics. So Sega do actually own it by whatever rights and means. That was okay. All the original characters they made up for the cartoons are okay. They're still fair game. Didn't have to be removed from the comics after the reboot. But so they have these rules about how Sonic can't be shown to be defeated for long, or you can't show extreme emotion, and they can't do this and can't do that. And part of, I think, the IDW comics at first, certainly anyway, did suffer under it, and it felt like the stories didn't have much in the way of stakes, or and there was a weird undercurrent through the first year's worth of issues where it was like, I hope you played this game from 15 years ago, because we're not going to explain what any of this means. But as they've added more original characters, Tangle and Whisper, Ruffle, Tumble, Jewel the Beetle, and there's been other ones as well that aren't immediately springing to mind. They feel like they kind of have to, in order to I've always said, like, in order to keep telling original stories about these characters, you have to keep building the universe outward. But in the case of this, it's like these are the characters that they're actually able to tell stories with and do emotional things with under like the rules.
So McFeely, this extended Knuckles family you mentioned, like does it keep a naming convention? Like, are they all named after like joints? Like, is there an ankles the echidna or
he's got a little brother named Kneecaps.
Awesome.
That's funny.
But then, you know, like he's got relatives called Dimitri and Menaker and Enerjack and things like that. So no, beyond that Kneecaps gag, there no.
I can't decide if I'm relieved or disappointed by that in its entirety.
Like cousin Flangy the cousin.
Spencer Wild on Discord's just posted up I'm assuming that's an Archie page with the entirety of the Knuckles family.
Oh.
So if anyone wants to peruse that family tree, it's right up there.
I mean, the gag being that they're always just Knuckles with a different hat on.
Yeah, they sure are, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now one of them's wearing a helmet.
Yeah, that's Robot Knuckles apparently. By the way, this is labeled.
Yeah, and
this has been joke labeled this image. But
absolutely.
Yeah, Rasta Knuckles is kind of interesting.
Let's move on from that one.
Oh no, I like down the bottom corner, Red Sonic.
Red Sonic.
Red Sonic.
Knuckles himself.
That's the Spanish knockoff.
But whenever the writer announced that he was getting into NFTs recently, nobody was surprised.
Wow.
Awesome.
And that was the basics on Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Oh, believe me, that was far from that.
Somebody said,
I couldn't do that.
I've got a dumb question. So, why is Sonic so popular? Like
I don't know.
my nephews, my kids love Sonic. They've never played a game up until recently, but they all love Sonic.
Maybe it's
I
the
honestly
look of
couldn't
the
tell you.
character or something.
I think so.
I couldn't tell you, but what I do recommend is listen to a Sonic podcast that isn't Chris's. I'm not going to plug Chris's.
Yeah.
He might know which one I'm on about because he was in it. Tom Campbell's History of Sonic.
Oh, sure, yeah.
On Radio Sega. It is an awesome listen. It's only 5 episodes long. And it's literally a catch-all of everything that was ever made Sonic.
I'm sure my kids haven't listened to that one. So last I
yeah,
checked.
it's
I couldn't tell you. I feel like it's only in the course of academically, I always knew young people who liked Sonic existed, right? Obviously. But it wasn't until doing this podcast that I sort of had to really open my eyes to the fact that these were people who became fans of it during the shitty years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, that is, the early 2000s is what I'm talking about here. And I'm like, those games were not, what? How did that happen? It's like whenever I became a Sonic fan, whenever old people like me became Sonic fans, the games were good and the comics were good.
I can tell you exactly what it was, 1992.
Right.
And I can tell you where I was. It was in my friend Jason's bedroom, and we were playing Sonic 1, I think, actually. And I'm like, wow, this is amazing.
I got a really similar story. How I first encountered Sonic the comic was back in Wales. Myself, Craig, and another friend called Mark were at Mark's house, and we were playing Sonic Chaos on the Master System. And he also had the first issue of Sonic the comic, and we basically drank all that in. And it made a huge fan out of my friend Craig, who actually did an SBO the Comedian artwork that's in one of the Sonic the comics. I don't think you guys have quite reached that one yet, but he bought every comic, and I basically lived vicariously through him because he bought it, bring it into school, and then I'd read the issues because I couldn't get my hands on it. So very similar. This was back in 93, I think. Early 93, mid 93. So my love of Sonic basically kicked off from there. Was pretty much through watching my friend explode over not being able to play Sonic Chaos and reading that comic. Certainly not from any of the games, because I didn't actually buy any of my Sonic games until late 90s.
94 is when I got my Genesis, I think.
It was definitely when I got my Genesis, because I got it when Sonic was getting packaged with it.
Yeah,
I was like, this is like a game. It's like, wow, this is like nothing like you've seen before. It's just kind of cool looking.
I
And
got
the
the
music.
Genesis that came with Sonic 2.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
me too.
Sonic 2 was like the high point for me. I was like, their games will never be better than this.
I love.
And then there
Sonic
never was a Sonic that was
Mania is
better
pretty
than
good.
this.
there was a Sonic better than that.
Sonic 4, not so much.
Yeah.
Somebody's just said,
I
somebody
do like
just-
Sonic CD though. I do like that one, by the way. Yeah.
somebody's just said, "Where's the love for Sonic Spinball?" I'll give you some love. I like that game. I like it.
I like
and both.
Yeah, I like the pinball game. I like pinball.
And I like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah, that's a
game,
great
even
game.
though it's hard as heck.
Yeah.
That's what Puyo Puyo.
Yeah,
but
everybody
with-
loves Puyo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
reskin.
Hey, Chris, what about the cartoon series? Do you ever plan on looking at that as far
Not
as
on the podcast, no.
we're doing a different podcast because that's the only real exposure because I didn't like Sonic because I couldn't follow the game. I had a lot of trouble playing the game, keeping up with it, and so I didn't really get, I really didn't play the game that much. But I did watch Sat AM there for a while, and I really liked that.
Don, I'll draw your attention back over to Tom Campbell's History of Sonic because that's one of the things he covers.
Yeah, I think they got Jim Cummings to talk about it on there.
Yep.
But no, I got a pretty low tolerance for the Sonic cartoons just across the board. Honestly,
kids
like I
loved the
watched
first one.
Adventures when I was a kid, and I watched Sat AM, the ABC show, as well. But I didn't vibe with them. I mean, it's for a simple reason. It's because it wasn't anything like the game. Nothing to do with the games.
Chris,
And that's
own up. You're more of a fan of Sonic Underground.
Don't even joke. But no, that's why I vibed with Sonic the comic versus any of the other stuff, because Sonic the comic and all UK original media, we had novels, the novels, game books, other stuff, and they all were based. You know what? No, I'm not doing a whole bloody history of Sonic. Go and watch the podcast.
Yeah.
They were all like the games. They were all
Yeah.
about zones and rings and monitors and robots and star posts and loops, not taking the characters and lifting them out and dropping them into this
Yeah.
Tex Avery nonsense on the one hand and
I love
Baby's
that.
first Blade Runner on the other, and they may be
Sonic dressing
successful
up as a
in for what
woman.
they are, but
That's so
see
great.
that.
He's
Ah.
sexy.
Sonic dressing up as Beaky. You don't even know who Beaky is.
I don't know. I know my kids love
No.
the Sonic Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. They love watching that on Paramount Plus.
Listen, don't use your kids as a shield.
Yeah, I don't. But honestly, as far as I'm concerned, there's never really been a good Sonic cartoon. Sonic X, rancid. Sonic Boom. It's just it's funnier in gifs.
The Sonic Boom, I paid more attention to because of
Sonic CD.
the memes and stuff. The Sonic Boom memes. I thought, okay, that sounds like that's kind of funny.
That's
about
the-
all
Yeah,
the
there
jokes
are
about
funny
Knuckles.
jokes in it, but
Yeah.
that's the way to experience them. It's just in gifs and memes.
Yeah.
Well, Sonic
Yeah.
Boom, like the theme from Sonic CD, is so great.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah, and then they changed it in subsequent re-releases, which sucks.
And then like Sonic in game wise kind of like got that boost with what is it? Mania? What it was the last game?
Sonic
called?
Mania was
Sonic
the,
Mania,
the
yeah.
2D one that was good.
And that wasn't even them. That was like somebody other than the
Yeah.
Sega team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they make 4? Who made 4? Wasn't the same folks? Was it?
No. They tried to do a 4 and it was horrendous.
4
Everybody hated
sucks.
it.
Yeah.
And then they had Outsiders make Sonic Mania, and they basically made a
Well,
Sonic game like an old Sonic
I
game.
mean,
It
I
was
think that's
great.
what they did. I
Everybody
think
liked
that's
it.
the Mega Man games were actually outsourced to somebody else, and that's that's why they're good. Mega
It's
Man.
like the most
9,
popular
10,
Sonic game,
11.
like the last 20 years or something.
Well, it's the only good one. So.
Yeah.
No.
Well, I'm really hoping for
I like this.
Frontier. Is that what it's called? Frontiers?
Yeah, Frontiers is the new
It looks
one.
cool.
The kart racers are pretty good.
Yeah, the
Those
kart
two.
racers are good.
They're
Yeah,
making an open world Sonic game.
yeah. I'm
I don't know.
interested to
Wow.
see how that's going to turn out.
Sonic
if it
Adventure
turns
3?
out good, I may get that one. But if it turns out bad, I will just ignore Sonic again.
This is it. I have been vibing with Sonic a lot more, like in the last couple of years. I think as a consequence of doing the podcast, a lot more than I ever thought I would have. And I seem to be the one person who liked Sonic Forces. A lot about what that game did, and just about what's going on in just the wider Sonic media sphere with the IDW comics, even with the live action movie. It's depicting the character and his world in a way that is in sync with how I want to see it. Versus, the decade there where they decided that humans were in it also, and that just I could never go. I have no basis for it. But I have this overwhelming belief that Frontiers is just going to absolutely torpedo everything I'm enjoying about the current way the character and his world is being depicted.
I hope not.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
All right.
Never mind gameplay or anything like that. Yeah.
I got a question for Chris. Does Sonic have an anniversary coming up? And if so, what would the Transformers Sonic crossover? What Transformers crossover with Sonic could be made?
So
I tell you, we've missed our window for that now with IDW.
Yeah.
I have to believe the only reason that didn't happen is because Sega said no, because Transformers has been really crossover happy with IDW the last couple of years. What do we had? Ponies and Back to the Future and Terminator.
We also kind of had a tie-in with Capcom because they did the Street Fighter crossovers.
Well, but like the collaboration
might be some licenses.
Takara did the as far as toys go. Takara did the Mega Drive.
Yeah, that
a Sonic collaborative toy would be cool.
Yeah,
I don't know what it would be, but it would have to involve some kind of a race between Sonic and Blur, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Or Monka Spanka. What they got that mold? Well, they got both. Actually, never mind.
Maybe like the worlds when Superman races the Flash, you could have a 2-pack with Blur and Sonic, and like maybe some kind of like racing colors or racing outfits, or I mean, it's not really the same thing, I know, but
actually, Sonic Racing Transformed or whatever it was. Was that the one on the Xbox 360? Or whatever.
I think that might have been the 360 one.
Yeah.
The Sonic 2006 game.
Was it that long? God.
It's been a while. Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, but yeah, I guess.
I suppose that's it, isn't it? The collaborative toy that leads into whatever kind of crossover. It's probably the biplane or his car from one of the racing games that transforms and probably comes with a little Sonic that can sit in it.
Revenge of the Fallen Ransack would have to be involved because you've already got a biplane there.
You need a bigger toy to sit Sonic in.
Well, yeah, but at least the design is there. You could, do something with that.
No, that wouldn't work.
Yeah,
not at that size. He wouldn't be able to hold up his own weight.
Even the like the engineering, if they scaled it up or something, I just don't think would.
No, he's so spindly. He wouldn't be able to hold himself up, I'd say.
It would just have to be a different biplane. I could take another biplane transformer.
You can live with
that.
Yeah,
I would love more biplane transformers.
That's probably why they would do it. They do his car instead of the plane. The plane is the iconic one they should do, but I think they probably, if they ever did it, they'd probably just do his car. But what are we talking about Sonic for?
I don't know.
Because we like Sonic.
This is incredibly free.
Before you got here, we were talking about video game systems. We were talking about G.I. Joe in action.
I want to know.
Visionaries.
All right, let's get back on topic. I want to know, what does Chris McFeely think about EarthSpark? Because that looks cool to me.
I am so hype for EarthSpark.
I'm super hype.
I'm just, and it's because it's new.
Yeah,
it's something new.
Different.
And it looks different. It looks different too. So
I don't think there's enough to judge anything really off of the 4 seconds we saw.
Yeah.
I was already I was already hype for it. I mean, I don't know if a TF cartoon has had this kind of like dream creative team on it before. Nicole Dubuque heading it up. Nick Roach doing the character designs, for the love of God. May Cat story editing it has the only thing I can compare it to is when they brought Eisenberg in to do animated, and we all knew Eisenberg from Beast Machines. And obviously opinion of Beast Machines has changed a lot in the 20 years since it came out, but back then it had been less than a decade since, Jesus, I don't like that sentence, it had been less than a decade since Beast Machines when animated came out. But I, for one, upon hearing he was involved with it, was like, oh, a pair of good hands. And that's just what I feel like now all over again for really the first time on a TF cartoon since then is to see old talent,
He
some
had
of the
TV chops.
most proven talent from the last 10 years of Transformers media coming in and working on the show.
Marty
And
had-
to know that creators like this are knowing May Cat read the IDW comics and wanted to bring as much of what she could from that world into Cyberverse, and knowing that they chose to bring Roach in, which means they're aware of him and his work in the comics, and never mind Dubuque's own talent having been displayed on Rescue Bots. It makes me wonder what other creatives and talent they could pull in from say comics.
Who else could they
with
pull in
Roach
from
on it? What's
TV?
Well, I've never been on television. Like, if Roach is working on it, how many short steps is it to possibly get a James Roberts written episode?
Right.
Or a Nick Roach written episode.
As a wild, or indeed a Nick Roach written episode. Yes, of course.
I mean, that's all. I mean, that'd be great, but like, comics and TV aren't exactly the same. Like
No,
pacing,
they're
everything.
not. Sure, they are different disciplines as far as writing goes. Absolutely, but I'd give I'd give James Roberts a punt at writing a TF cartoon.
Yeah, I would love to see it. It's just not as much in the way of, like established Transformers TV talent that we've had, like we used to have, David Wise and all the.
It was a weird,
folks.
but like when we could say Bob and Larry,
Yeah.
and and then they brought them back to do an
Hey,
animated.
This could be
episode,
the new Bob and Larry. This could be the beginning of that.
I think it could.
I hope so.
Yeah. I mean, May Cat has got to be the next to Nicole Dubuque herself, having worked on Prime and ID and Rescue Bots. Like, May Cat sort of emerged, to my mind anyway, as far as seeing discussion on social media, as one of the notable writers of Cyberverse. Then she came on to the War for Cybertron trilogy for Kingdom and did the best stuff that those three bad shows managed to do.
That's true.
Mhm. Yeah, Kingdom was
she
the best.
wrote, she wrote the best, and Kingdom was the best, and she wrote the best bits of Kingdom.
Mhm.
All the Dinobot and Starscream and Ares or stuff. You could see the love in it.
Yeah.
And she's the story editor of this thing now. So
High
give
hopes.
it.
I hope I'm really hoping for something good. This is fall, right? It comes out in fall.
Yeah.
In fall,
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
the plan was probably supposed to be that Rise of the Beasts would be in summer, and then this show would capitalize off that.
Mhm.
In the same way that that Robots in Disguise 2015 capitalized off of Age of Extinction.
Yeah.
Which is not to say that it has anything to do with it, just that it's riding the wave.
Yeah.
But that's not happening now. So
We still don't have a lot on the Bot show other than that.
no, that's a weird one to me. That one is
That's in March, isn't it?
Well,
Yeah, that's
that's
a
real
month away.
soon.
One thing it said it was
Yeah.
in March. Nothing else has popped up. I mean, that was an official source, but nothing else has popped
Yes.
up to corroborate it, so it could change.
Well,
Yeah.
that was Netflix themselves saying it. It was
Yeah.
Although
previously
the-
announced for the last quarter of last year,
Yeah.
so it's already late as it is.
Yeah.
But the
But
tweet was
the-
also deleted soon after.
Was it?
So
Oh,
And I've been looking at all the Netflix stuff and all the Netflix media site, and even
Yeah.
this morning, nothing was there. There's no news on it, nothing on the schedule.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
maybe
That's
they moved
interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
the thing is that
like,
tweet had
listen-
4 shows listed, so it could have been any one of those 4 that was, had wrong information or was posted
Yeah.
about when it wasn't supposed to. So we can't say for sure it was the bot thing
Yeah.
that got deleted.
I mean, look, I love the BotBots toy line, but this cartoon is the very definition of striking while the iron is freezing cold.
I know, yeah.
I've seen the trailer. It looks adorable. It
Oh
looks.
yeah, I still haven't seen that. I
absolutely-
forgot to look at that.
Oh, it looks
When
adorable.
did that hit? I don't remember seeing it.
I saw it on Twitter pretty much around the time that Nick Roach announced that he was doing the character designs.
I don't know if that's even still there
that
anymore.
trailer. Sorry, I was thinking.
Oh,
Yeah,
Bot
the
still.
EarthSpark, yeah.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah,
No.
that looks great.
No, was there a BotBots trailer?
I don't know about BotBots, but I did.
Oh,
see a
sorry.
trailer
I
for
thought you were talking
EarthSpark.
about BotBots.
All
I
I
got
remember
it.
seeing for Bots is like the one frame.
Yeah. I didn't even know there was a BotBots cartoon. So that just proves how much the fact that this hit me, and I've been pretty much out of Transformers media now for a while. I barely check my Twitter. And I saw all of this, and I've seen enough for a trailer. Now, I treat Transformers cartoons by and large now as something that just isn't for me anymore. I'm not saying that the old days were the best. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that I've kind of moved on as a person for that.
This
for the
hasn't.
media.
I mean, this hasn't been a great decade for Transformers.
No.
No, it's not.
Precisely. But I'm well aware I'm also a 42-year-old man without children.
There is that.
So
42-year-old man with children, and they like the 2015 series pretty good.
I will say
that
this.
one seems to resonate with kids.
I will say this though. I just finished Cyberverse and I loved it.
Yeah, Cyberverse
was fantastic. And I
Nobody's
hate
hardly watched
myself.
it.
I hate myself for waiting as long as I did, but I loved
That's
it. I just finished
everybody.
it. Yeah.
But
This is true.
Where I'm getting at here is all about longevity of the brand and things that enables that longevity. Now, if EarthSpark is good enough to bring in a whole new generation of fans, a whole new generation of kids watching it, I'm not even putting us into that dynamic, that thing at all. None of us, we are not the target audience. Some of us will watch it and enjoy it, but we are not the target audience. Like Brian's kids are the target audience. People around their age are the target audience. The people that are about hitting their teens, target audience. That is the people that we need to make sure that Transformers lives on in another 2 decades at least.
To that. So it's not Transformers, but it's kind of parallel. Star Trek. So there's Star Trek Prodigy, and there's Star Trek Lower Decks. Star Trek Lower Decks is aimed towards older people. Star Trek Prodigy is aimed towards my kids. My kids hate Prodigy. They treat Lower Decks like the cast are friends at school. They love Lower Decks.
I love that.
But that's kind of the funny thing about Star Trek, though,
and
isn't it?
Because there's Star Trek Picard, who I'm pretty sure isn't, targeting
for anyone.
anybody.
It's not for anybody.
Nobody.
But that's the funny thing about Star. Like, now I say this as somebody who respects Star Trek, but doesn't particularly care about it. It's a bit. I've thought it's a bit. It's a thought that's been floating around my head for the last little bit. In an age now where some of literally the most powerful forces in entertainment are Marvel Comics and Star Wars, which are doing their level best to bring the money in from a general audience of normal people, and then Star Trek is over here just being for dorks. And now suddenly they're making a cartoon for kids about Star Trek. What is that? That is not Star Trek, as I understand Star Trek to be. I mean, but to what Matt's saying, we're old. We're gonna die soon. If they want to keep making money out of this
I get there first.
if they want to keep making money out of this IP, they gotta get some kind of new audience off it.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a little weird. Transformers it's not like most other brands in that way, in that ours has always been so nakedly a toy thing that happened to grow beyond its boundaries by virtue of the fact that it was really good. Whereas all the other things, like, say Marvel or Star Wars or whatever, yes, there is copious amounts of merchandise and toys and everything, but the work itself is the stories, is the text, is the stories themselves are the product that's being sold. With Transformers, it's the flip-flop. And I've always thought that being the case with Transformers gives most of the fandom a level of self-awareness in the brand. Like last year when I got in a flap with the Thomas the Tank Engine fandom for asking how it's wound up having an adult fandom throwing a fit about it having a reboot, and I'm like, you're having your Beast Wars moment after. But that's literally what it was. It is a fandom of people who like a product for nursery age children, an adult fandom liking a product for toddlers, throwing a fit about inaccurate railway gauge scaling in the cartoon that's being made to promote it.
I think a Thomas the Tank Beast Wars moment would be Thomas the Tiger.
People would throw back at me, what are you talking about? You like Transformers? And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware I like toys and I have the self-awareness to know that's what they are.
Yeah.
Not you trying to proclaim that these old books written by some train dork are the high art unto themselves,
I mean, I agree with Spencer Wild, who just put in the Discord. I think the models in the original cartoon helped create the adult interest, which
absolutely,
that's exactly
100%
right.
true. That is what did it. Yes, because the creator of all that. Listen, I'm not having a discussion about Thomas, but I will say this. The creator of the original Railway series was a massive train enthusiast, and he put all that accurate railway history into the stories. And obviously that captured the attention of other train dorks.
Yeah, and for my part,
But
like
they were stories for toddlers, and they have never not been. There is no Thomas Masterpiece series.
Thank you, Chris.
That's just called, going down to your hobby shop and buying a model train. That's your Thomas Masterpiece.
Yeah.
But even
That's
Thomas
grading
had
up
like
out of it,
even Thomas had dark episodes, like when they
don't do the brick in the tunnel one. You'll have them on you. You'll have them come into your mentions and explain to you he's let out at the end of the episode, and it's not that scary actually.
So I invoke evil if I say that. Okay. Understood.
Well, Chris, let me ask you this, Chris McFeely. Do you think it's easier for Marvel, having had all of this fiction and the universe already created, to make toys that fit what's already been done, versus Transformers that had all these toys but not a lot of fiction and have to create things around these toys? Which way do you think is the better way to do it?
Well, I see, like, this is going to sound like I'm not answering your question, but I feel like that's kind of the problem area Transformers has found itself in the last couple of years, where as fantastic as the last couple of years of Generations toys have been, the War for Cybertron toys, I was saying to Dave Wallace, Kal-El Prime of the Moon, TF Nation, the Moonbase 2, just recently, that it feels like Transformers collect. I've got Blaster next to me here, so he's my illustrative example. Transformers collecting the last couple of years has felt like a sort of slow realization that you're buying the last versions of the characters you'll ever need to buy. They're making these perfect little mini masterpiece versions.
Like Earthrise Prime.
The War for Cybertron. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
The War for Cybertron trilogy has been the apex of everything Hasbro has been doing with the Generations branding since it began with Classics in 2006, abandoning even the idea of reinventing classic G1 and on characters with modern toy technology or modern alternate modes, and literally for the last 3 years just making small masterpieces. I don't think I ever need to buy another Grapple, Inferno, Red Alert, Hoist, Trailbreaker, Prowl, Blue Streak again. They've perfected them.
We do need another ape face.
I don't think we'll get one.
Yeah, well, Chris, didn't we feel the same way about vinyl tech and alternators? Didn't we feel like this is?
I didn't.
No, Don.
I mean, I'm being serious here, because at the time, did we not feel the same way? Like, this is the best or early masterpiece.
Toy Bros felt that way.
Yeah, so Don, a very specific segment of the fandom who has that crossover between liking Transformers and liking realistic, detailed model cars probably felt the way you're describing, but like for
alternators.
About alternators.
But I know what Don's getting at. Like, he's saying that we've gone through in waves of these characters being updated and improved with modern toy technology over and over. But it's the fact that the circle has closed. So the reason I say this specifically is the fact that the circle has closed and they've gone back to not trying to reinvent them with new forms or anything. They're just making tiny versions of the cartoon characters.
I really hope that sentiment about being the very last of these characters is true, because that's the reason I stopped buying them, Chris.
Yeah. I don't feel like they're going to stop making Starscreams and Optimus Primes and Bumblebees and Megatrons, but I can't see why I need another Starscream now that I own Earthrise Starscream. You know,
I mean, we might need a better Prime Starscream if you
like.
Prime.
That's the thing.
In that case, buy the first edition toy, Don. That's the best one.
Well, that cuts to the heart of, I feel like, what a lot of the debate that's going on around Legacy right now is, because it was in the middle of Earthrise. It was at the start of Earthrise, and I'm handling Hoist and I'm handling Prime, and I'm like, where do we go from here? What happens next? There will never be another Hoist as good as this, you know?
No, there's nothing that toy needs.
What do you do next? And Legacy has come along and said the answer is, well, first of all, we had Kingdom that did Beast Wars, and Legacy has come along and said that the answer is finally do some other bloody stuff. And
Yes.
in as far as
is-
they're starting out small with Bulkhead and RC from Prime, but then that has invited the debate about the fact that these are like G1ified versions
Yeah,
of the characters.
We
that
don't
a
need G1.
right?
Well, no, but this is the thing. I don't
it.
disagree with the idea we don't need G1, but we also don't need show accurate Prime toys.
No.
Those existed already.
Yeah.
The 21st century, all the way through, particularly from the movies and animated onward, because of the nature of the fact that the characters were designed for animation first and then turned into toys. And before that, the Unicron trilogy and RID, where the animation was a very faithful representation of the toys. It's only before that in Beast Machines and Beast Wars and G1, wherever the toys and the animation did not line up. We don't need new versions, and there's, for a given value of need, obviously I understand that there are younger people who've grown up who would like toys of their childhood characters, and that's part of the issue, and that's one side of the debate. But like for me, as far as a collector, I have over there a perfectly accurate Prime Bulkhead that I don't need. The toy technology hasn't come on that far that I need them to rework and make a better Prime.
That one you have is better than anything they would make today.
This is it. It's like, I don't really want new. I understand. I'm very torn on the idea of new Unicron trilogy toys, because it's like, I definitely want that era of the brand to be celebrated for the characters that it created as the last truly huge push of brand new characters.
Yeah.
But everything that makes those toys what they are is impossible to do in toys today.
Yeah.
Except their
Megatron.
ankles will go sideways.
Yeah, like
And it's like-
Megatron. You can't get like that Megatron again.
Yeah,
You
so,
can't,
like,
you can't
that's-
get my
that's-
experience with that again ever.
That's
again.
the thing for me with wanting Unicron trilogy remakes. I have the original Unicron trilogy toys. I love them for what they are.
Yeah.
And for my purposes, I want like a specific cross section of characters who have updated toys in modern design sensibility, not restyled to be G1, but have modern articulation, just like focused on being a representation of the character rather than the gimmick that it originally was. Sideways is a really good example of this for me. I would like a Sideways that's superposable, even if it has to eschew the headmaster functionality of the original.
But that's Sideways, though.
I know. I understand that, but like for as little as the show really addressed that aspect of the character, I could live with that sacrifice to have one that can move and look like it did in the show otherwise, if that makes sense.
Armada is definitely the one where, like the design philosophy of Armada specifically was such that the introduction of modern toy articulation and engineering would radically change what those toys are.
Yeah.
Energon and Cybertron, not so
Energon,
much.
Energon, I have a smaller list for. Energon Rodimus is like the top of my list. I would like a Voyager-sized version of that specific design, not compromised by having to be pants.
Well, I was gonna
really
ask, do you want them to redo the combination?
Nobody wants that, do they?
Nobody wants that. Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask. Yeah.
But like with Cybertron, I think Cybertron hit the balance where you don't need nearly as desperately to have any of those really be updated into a new form.
Those
like
were good
just
toys.
put
I like them.
Siege Galaxy Upgrade Optimus next to the original Cybertron Optimus.
Mm-hmm.
It's not an upgrade.
No.
No, it is not.
No, it's not.
Couple of quotes on the YouTube here from Robot Lorekeeper. I honestly hope that the perfection of the mini masterpieces is the hypothesis of G1 but again, and EarthSpark is the kick in the arse the toys needed.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And also said that Unicron Trilogy just had this undeniable energy that's like nothing else. As maligned as Energon was, it's undeniably its own thing, which is also quite true. They tried something different with a gimmick and obviously didn't really catch on, but they tried something new and different.
Yeah. And I want to pay my due respect to Energon here. The toys that were not designed around the combination functionality are still brilliant toys. Landmine is still a high favorite toy, just for like one off the top of my head example.
The Snowcat
you're
toy.
not making Landmine better today.
No. You'd be lucky to make Landmine half as good today.
Yeah.
And it would literally be half the toy.
Well, no, let's be absolutely fair. At the same price point.
Yes.
You know,
yeah, well,
if they made a commander class,
It
landmine,
would have to be
class
it'd be
landmine would be
basically the
brilliant.
same toy. You know?
Yeah.
Well, Chris, when I saw this first wave of Legacy, the first thing that popped in my mind, and you will get this for sure, it's like Digimon. At this point, everything is a slight evolution. We're not making. It's going to be hard to make advances to something more better. Backgrammar aside, it's going to be a slight evolution. We're going to laterally move, but to different forms. We're going to put other characters in G1 forms.
That's it. Yeah,
and that's the first thing I thought of. Was like
I honestly hope we continue to try and stop going back to the well there and just move forward. But that's just me. That's just my opinion.
I mean it's very hard to know where we go on from here, from where we are now in this first year of Legacy, because so much of what War for Cybertron has done feels like the last time I'll ever need to own any of these guys.
Yeah.
So much so, you know, that Legacy feels like it needs an Optimus Prime, so it's done Laser Optimus Prime. And there are certainly a bunch of standout characters from past series, you know, unique to those series, that they could pull out, like Bulkhead, like RC. We know they're doing a knockout supposedly. So you think of a Sideways, for instance, you know, or a Hotshot, or a Strong Arm, or a Steeljaw. Or, you know, they're and if Legacy is able to continue on this pattern, I think that will make Legacy quite a fun and varied toy line. Because it means it won't just be, it'll be things pulled from all corners. You know, I think there's a few more Beast Wars characters I think we know are supposed to be coming this year that we haven't seen. But sorry, Don, you originally asked about the idea of like Marvel and how they just have the comics and the whole existing fiction and everything to pull from to make toys from. That is what Transformers has wound up becoming for its adult audience now. I mean, listen, we're old. I keep saying that, but I feel like it bears repeating, you know. So we remember the days whenever it was claimed that fans made up less than 20% of the buying audience.
Yeah.
That can't be true anymore.
No.
Because Generations is not for children. Studio Series is not for children. These toys are not being made for kids. Like, they can put that little preschool for Rescue Bots, kids for, and what's the age bracket they put on that? Like what? 4 to 7 to 11 or something is the center bracket that Cyberverse is supposed to be for. 4 to 11, something like that. Or maybe 4 to 8 or something like that. And then 8 plus is just fans and everything else is notionally for them. And, you know, I'm not even talking about complexity of toy and the ability of a child to actually configure it and transform it or not, which is obviously became an issue as the movie series grew in popularity right around the turn of the decade, you know, like the 2000 and 2010s. But the choices that are being made about the characters to put out into the world are so visibly motivated by giving adult fans and long-term fans of the brand completing more and more of the classic roster.
This isn't just a Transformers thing, but when you look at, by and large, the ultimate selling point as Hasbro as a company now, it's geared almost entirely to an adult collector.
Yeah,
look at the most
Star
recent
Wars. You look at calm down. You look at Power Rangers. How in God's name is Power Rangers a line that has refocused itself to sell to adults?
Nostalgia, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Boom, boom.
Yep.
I was going to say, what kid wants Hero Quest?
Well, wasn't that was a HasLab thing, wasn't it? At least, you know, at least it's a crowdfunded thing. And
any attachment to Hero Quest? It's only us that really know and cared about Hero Quest.
The only people that care about the classified line is close to AARP.
No, the Power Rangers example is great here, though. The Power Rangers example is great though, because like the line that they run for the current TV show really feels like a very token effort, even more so than it did with Beast Morphers the last couple of years. I don't know if it's still the case, but for like most of the first year of the line, the only way to get like a regular basic Green Ranger figure from the current show was in an exclusive 5-pack from Amazon, where you had to rebuy figures that were already sold at retail. So like, you know, they are not putting more than like the bare minimum effort.
Tell me this about the current Power Rangers thing, right?
All right.
Do they make the robots?
Eventually they make the robots. So with Beast Morphers and Dino Fury,
Yes.
they certainly
gave
did not have the robots out with the first wave of product like Bandai traditionally
I always
did.
thought that was what the big seller was
Yeah.
the robots, but like the Lightning Collection, I was like, all I see is like the guys in the suits and the
Yeah, so
like,
Lightning Collection has not touched any Megazord related stuff yet.
yeah.
Really?
We've talked about this in previous like pre-show segments and stuff, like where the monsters price point, which is like the $30 or now I think $35, they're bigger scale, heavier, denser figures that nobody buys, should have had a mix of monsters and Megazords to really have that work more.
That would have made sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But Lightning Collection has not touched Megazords yet in any capacity.
Unless you count that Zeo Megazord thing that does not separate into the individual
and doesn't
things. It's just a
scale with
static
the
thing.
other figures in any way. And also nobody bought that. So I guess it is kind of related to the monsters price point in that respect. But so with the current TV shows, they waited like half the first year before. With Beast Morphers, they waited about half the first year before they put out the robots for that. And with Dino Fury, I think they waited until close to the start of the second year of product, which we've just entered.
That's
getting
wild
that
to me
out.
because it's like it was all about the robots.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe that's a Transformers collector's mindset. but-
no, I mean,
No, I remember like back in the 90s, like the toy aisles were littered with Megazords.
Yeah,
It was like
Zords,
everywhere.
the
They were
Megazord
everywhere.
was the Christmas toy. You know?
Yeah, it was.
and I mean, maybe Hasbro has analyzed, all the, previous sales for Power Rangers and kind of come to different conclusions here. Because we have to remember, Bandai America has the unique problem of being completely beholden to what Bandai Japan wants them to do.
Well, they stopped selling. They stopped importing the Japanese bots.
Yeah, but
years
they
ago,
still-
didn't they?
Yeah, they stopped importing the
But
original
they
mold for
produced
cost
their own
reasons.
simplified versions of them.
Yeah,
right?
they
Yeah.
still had them available immediately at line launch or within a wave afterward,
Mhm.
just depending how the distribution worked out. But that would be because to Bandai Japan, from their point of view, the robot is the important part of the merchandising for Super Sentai, and they just assume then, okay, Bandai America, you are going to market this exactly the same way because we know what works best for this. When maybe they didn't, and that's been a problem all along.
Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I will say from what I've seen of the Power Rangers fandom, I'm not an active part of that and haven't been in years, but I still follow a lot of people involved in that. And like, it's been shocking to everybody that the robots are such an afterthought feeling to the current Power Rangers lines.
I don't think the Dino Fury ones took quite as long to come out as the Beast Morphers did.
I think they took
like-
longer.
No, the Dino Fury stuff has been sitting out on shelves for a while, and the second season hasn't started yet. That starts in like a couple of weeks.
But the second product
Beast-
year started, and those came with the second product
Yes.
year's worth of stuff, as far as I was able to follow.
Beast Morphers, I don't think they got Zords until the first year of the show was done.
I think that was a distribution problem. I think the stuff was available to the retailers at that point, but nobody was allocating space for them because, brand new relaunch of the line and everything.
It was definitely a while because I didn't see the robots for a while for Beast Morphers. I just remember the
And
figures.
Walmart, as far as I ever saw in my area, never carried the Beast Morphers, the actual combining versions of the Megazord. They had the big, what Rob Stringer would call shampoo bottle
Yeah.
style
Yeah,
ones.
those are the ones I saw because I saw
Yeah.
the ones at Walmart. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what was out early for representation for the robots, and those I don't think really sold any.
Yeah.
Hey, so I went quiet for a few minutes. I apologize. Artfire2000.com just had an update that I wasn't expecting, and I was looking at this rabbit crater that is $500.
What?
The pack-in Micromaster that came
Just
in
the
with his own-
Micromaster,
yeah.
right? Doesn't he have the
What?
video with it?
Yeah, no, it doesn't have the video, just the Micromaster. There's also a Grandis that's mint in box. It's like $5,000.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry, I was just
You
gawking
need
at all
that.
the stuff.
All right.
I came so close to Galaxy Shuttle, but I didn't know.
I think Timmy's signaling that he has to drop here.
Yeah,
so.
I've got to go. I've got to start sorting out my other
Yeah.
thing on the UCP Discord, which is an under consultation podcast Discord. If you like your 90s nostalgia, see, I'm going straight into a segue.
Go to it.
If you like your 90s segues, 90s segues, 90s nostalgia, go over and check Under Consultation. It's on Twitter as well. They basically they tagged me earlier on. One of the things we do on the Discord is we air an episode of Games Master, which none of you Americans will know, but Chris will probably know.
Of course I know Games Master. Come on, give me some credit.
Under Consultation is a week-by-week review show that does every episode of Games Master from the start to the very bitter finish, including the most recent version that came out last year, where they did 3 episodes and then they disappeared again, and I'm very, very sad. But anyway, I've got to run that. I'm a moderator on that. Also, I am now on Twitch. You can find me on Matty Boo Twitches, where I do a show called Matty Vision, which is all about the old shows from yesteryear. Some Japanese, some American, some British. If you're not a fan of Teddy Bugs by the end of it, then you just don't know life and love itself. And you can also find that on Twitter at Matty Vision TV, and you can find me personally on at Matty Boo Tweets. Though why would you? Oh, terrible person, really. I'm a terrible person. And also, just gonna say before I go, Chris, you look like a sexual Tyrannosaurus, mate. And it's been far too long since we last spoke, and it was a joy tonight. Guys, thank you. I've got to go. I've been doing this for 11 years now with you all, and it's absolute madness.
Yes,
So-
it is madness. That we've been doing this for 11 years. Just
No.
Officially
Was
10
that
years
how long
last
ago
year.
the first one of these was?
Yeah. Well, no, there was 12 years.
Okay,
That
so we
was
think our
12
first
years.
Toy Fair stream was in 2010.
Yeah.
Yes, the 12 years, but I did 11 of those 12.
Yeah.
Like
Been a
that.
long time.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye,
Thanks,
Matt.
guys.
All right,
Fine.
thanks
See you later,
for
Mike. Good to see you.
thanks for joining in, Tommy.
Thanks for
Appreciate it.
coming.
So it's
See you
up-
next year.
Yeah, see you next year. It's up to you guys.
I'll see you in August.
No, you won't. I ain't going.
Oh, you're not going? Oh, jeez, man, come on.
I was thinking about wrapping up at round 3 Eastern, so like in 15 more minutes.
that
unless
makes
you-
sense.
Yeah.
Cool, sure,
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
about to drop off also, so that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So if anybody wants to say their goodbyes, we can just go ahead and do that. Or if anybody wants to plug something. Triplet, what can you plug?
Elite.
Twitch. Yes, Elite. Yeah, Twitch. I play Twitch every once in a while. It's twitch.tv/hitmanpez.
And
If
go
you
back
like
and-
Friday the 13th, that's great. If you don't, I'm sorry.
And go back and listen to the Fanboy Versus.
Oh, I don't know if you
there's
should,
old
honestly.
episodes of
This is-
Fanboy Versus are on YouTube. I watch them, where I have seen them occasionally.
I feel like those weren't very woke. Those old episodes
No.
of Fanboy versus.
They
some,
probably
some,
weren't.
some of them
Maybe I
are
should
some of them
delete
are
them, though.
problematic.
You just have to, take them in the proper historical context.
Yeah.
Hmm.
People are so good at that.
Put one
Truth.
put one of those messages that pops up before you watch an episode. My grandma
Yeah.
loves to watch Gunsmoke, and there's one in front of every Gunsmoke now in TV land.
I don't doubt
Oh, boy.
Because I wonder why.
it. Yeah. Cool.
But yeah,
Okay.
I'll be there.
Well, okay. Well, it's great having you. And McFeely is great seeing you as well.
It was great
God,
seeing you,
yeah, I'm happy to be
McFeely.
back. Hopefully there'll be a real toy fair next year and we can do a
Oh,
proper one of
God.
these where we all
that would
wait
be
around
nice.
for the images to come in.
Yeah.
Hey, before we go then, I don't know if you guys talked about this.
Yeah.
What do we even think we would have seen if there'd been a toy fair
Stuff
this
we've
year?
already seen.
Yeah,
EarthSpark.
well, that's the question because
Yeah.
like Legacy still isn't for months yet, and we saw that.
Well, I mean,
a
Legacy's
hot minute
Legacy's
ago.
on the shelf, and
Some- in France,
Yeah, they're getting
yeah.
some of them,
France, yeah.
But it feels like maybe too early to have heard about Wave 2 at Toy Fair.
No, not in this era, I don't think. Because
we
like
would have
uh,
seen that.
They were pretty famous for showing us stuff that we wouldn't get until
Yeah, we-
until like
we would-
summer.
and
Yeah.
the
We've
live
gotten that-
streaming
that
stuff
hype.
they've been
Yeah,
doing.
but Legacy isn't technically that's the street date for Legacy is like July though, isn't it? That is
Yeah, but the
summer,
live
so-
the live stream stuff they've been doing lately, they've been pulling out at least a couple pieces that are like 6 months down the line. We had that
Well,
with
that's
Receptor and Coronation Starscream, just for one example.
I hate acknowledging that 6 months has passed since we were shown those.
I
already.
ag-
What even
I,
is time anymore?
I
Like,
agree, McFeely. No, I think we probably would have seen some EarthSpark toys at Toy Fair
Yeah.
because the social media reveal of EarthSpark feels like it was very specifically originally coordinated to be part of a Toy Fair reveal event for the debut of the new franchise iteration.
Do we
you think
feel
the toys-
confident that maybe we were about to ask the same question?
Yeah,
Do we
I bet.
feel confident the toys will even be out to go along with the cartoon? Because this is a problem Transformers cartoons have
Yeah.
had for a while now.
Yeah, I mean, I could see that being the case, but I mean, hopefully,
You'd have to
there's
think
with
that
the
they fix
with the
that.
supposedly coordinated global launch of the cartoon in the fall.
They keep
Like,
saying
they
global, yeah, don't they?
Yeah,
I
which,
can't remember.
like,
Were Cyberverse toys on the shelves when Cyberverse started?
Uh,
I feel like they
I
were,
think
right?
so.
I don't think
didn't
there
they
if there was
predate
a
the show.
oh,
I thought the toy
Maybe.
predated the show. That's what I
Could have
thought.
done.
it might have.
I mean, the War for Cybertron stuff predated it by over every.
Well, that's the
series
problem.
by
Like,
over a
it's-
year.
it was the that was the problem with Prime Wars trilogy and War for Cybertron. It's like the toys launched, then they decided to make a cartoon, because making a cartoon takes about 2 years
Do you think they
by modern standards, and it was always about that much or a year and a half after
yeah.
the,
Yeah,
run, the
like
line had started
get
that they came out.
Combiner-
Like,
we didn't get that
Yeah.
Combiner Wars cartoon until we were into Titan's Return, I
Yeah.
think.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
the way that it
Yeah.
synced up was that there were 6-month-ish gaps between each of the 3 chapters of the Prime Wars trilogy and each of the 3 chapters of Kingdom, such that we got the first part when the second one was already underway.
Yeah.
We got the second part just as the third one was starting, and then the third part in the middle of the third toy line,
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's not it, and it's all part of, again, it goes back to what Dawn was saying about the way they're drawing from the stories first to make the toys. That's a consequence of Hasbro's decade-long shift, beginning, with the aligned continuity in the hub and everything, to being an entertainment company first. Instead, if I want anything, it sounds ridiculous to say it. It sounds retrograde to say it almost. But if I want anything out of Transformers going forward, it's make these first and then
Yes.
let them define what the show
Yeah.
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yes.
Good idea.
Because that's what I've always enjoyed the most is in classic Transformers, when somebody had a toy put in front of them and said, write a character for this, rather
Yeah.
than being handed a character sheet that a writer has produced and say, make this a toy.
And I mean, to
Like,
be
there's a
fair,
completely different dynamic to that.
that way of doing things has yielded some of the worst Transformers cartoons. Looking at the Unicron trilogy here, but it's yielded some of the best Transformers cartoons. Looking at Beast Wars.
Yeah.
Animated, it to talk about it that way almost feels like it does a disservice to animated, where the cartoon did come first, but they worked really closely
Yeah.
with Derek J. Wyatt, R.I.P. To make it work as a toy line, but still ended us up with a toy line where loads of characters didn't get realized as toys.
Mhm.
And Prime managed it a bit better, but the sync was way off. Were we getting like the actual proper ongoing Prime toy line? That was like, what, at the end of 2011?
We got
after
this-
season 1 of Prime was
We got
already
this
over.
show a long time before the
Yeah.
toys. Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
as I remember hearing it, the plan wasn't even to have a Transformers Prime toy line. It was just supposed to be folded into generations in piecemeal.
I feel like that was there was some dodgy reporting of casual statements that BotCon made around that time that I think furthered that idea, but I don't know how accurate it ever actually was.
Mhm.
Do you think that with EarthSpark that will?
I mean,
How
that's
can-
something, by the way, that's obviously been made as a cartoon first and foremost. When you got Nick Roach doing character designs,
Yeah.
no question,
Right.
that
But-
has been made the
I
same
wanna
way
say-
all
I wanna say
Transformers
this
cartoons
without-
of the last decade
Without
has
being
been.
without
Yeah.
being mean, I want to say this. Do you think EarthSpark toys will be a better quality than Cyberverse toys, or do you think it'll be?
I
similar?
I'd
hope
love
so.
to believe it. I'd love to believe it, but I don't
Please.
think so.
Yeah, I
Because
mean, I think it's going to be the
love-
same. I think
I
it's going to be
love-
the same product categories.
I love
Yeah.
Cyberverse the show, and when I watched it, I was like, I wish the toys were better.
I want.
Yeah,
Red
I wish I
Warrior
wanted
That's how
to
much
buy
I love
toys
this
of these,
show.
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
What?
given everything that's going on, we could be in one of those like transitional spots where they're adapting to the new price points and what they can do for the money they have
Yeah.
available.
I
Like,
like
I'm
something like
fine-
15 Robots in Disguise Warrior class.
I'm
back
fine if they're
badly.
smaller
Yeah.
toys. That's not a problem. I just want better quality plastic, maybe
Yeah.
better, You know what I mean. You
Yeah,
know what I
well,
mean when I
what-
say that. Yeah.
Yeah, and what
Yeah.
I'm getting at is, sometimes it wasn't just smaller toys in those periods when the price got adjusted and, the economy in general was in tatters.
Primer
was
Arachnid.
Prime
Right,
Arachnid.
exactly.
You want to talk about a character from Prime that I'm very okay with just getting a straight update for Legacy? Arachnid is
There
number
you
one
go.
with a bullet.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rob.
But yeah, just the when the price points change, it's not just that the size changes. It's just you can see them trying to figure out what actually works with the budget they have, with the materials they can use, and it doesn't always work out. I'm always reminded of my generation Springer with the head that flies off whenever I transform it. Just like that's a materials thing that was designed for just not quite the materials they wound up using. And if you get a good one, you're doing great. And if you don't, the head flies across the room.
Yeah.
I mean, Brian, you say you want RID Warrior class back. What I want, if I could have my druthers, and it's a controversial opinion, I wager, and it's probably not a business savvy one, but honestly, if I could have what I wanted, it would be scrap this idea of a collector's line and a kid's line.
yeah.
And just do one
Yeah, get everything back
Yes.
together.
a
That's what I
cartoon
want.
and just have that level of quality with a
100%.
quality cartoon and just do
Why
one thing.
couldn't they
Do
do
one
all of
thing
it?
well.
Why couldn't they do
Yeah.
all of it in Legacy? Why couldn't they?
Or why can't
Well, I mean,
Do it.
do
Legacy-
do
it'd have to
one
be the
thing
TV
well
series.
instead of giving us a good cartoon with a bad toy line
Yeah.
and a good toy line with a bad cartoon. Do one thing well.
You
Put
have a
your
box
whole
that
ass
says
into it.
Legacy, then you have a subsection at the box that says EarthSpark. There you go.
I wouldn't
Problem
be,
solved.
well, I feel like if they're doing this multiversal thing, I guess it's not impossible that they could produce, generations quality figures of the original characters created for EarthSpark so that older collectors have quality representations of those to add to their collections, even if it does mean they do still do a separate EarthSpark toy line with all the usual, simpler gimmicked figures for kids.
Yeah.
Legacy gives me some degree of excitement because there's a lot of potential in it to do. Say, I don't know. Well, I listed off like Sideways, Knockout, Strong Arm, Steel Jaw, Rescue Bots.
Yeah,
I love Rescue Bots. Yes.
Have a Rescue Bot in there. Give me a Heat
Yeah.
Wave. Give me
Yeah.
there's
I've been
I
asking
couldn't
for-
pick one. Give me them all. Give me all.
I've been
four.
asking
all
for
of them, yeah.
generation. I've been asking for generations level Rescue Bots figures for years.
I want a Titan class Rescue Roy.
Yes, please.
Rescue Roy. I thought you were going to say Rescue Bots High Tide.
No, that's too obvious.
Yeah, Rescue Roy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a commander class Rescue Roy. That might be a better fit.
Okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
I'd take a commander class.
But I guess they're not going to. They just seem to have this tiered, and I don't know. Maybe, and this, not to sound too much like an old man, but I don't know. Maybe kids don't buy toys anymore. Maybe kids just don't play with toys the way
Not only
they
that,
used to.
there's only so much retail space on a shelf. Stop competing with yourself.
Well, there's that,
Like I was thinking about this while you guys were talking earlier, and I was half asleep, which I still am. You know,
Me too,
sorry,
Rob.
Rob.
Me too.
yeah, there's only so much money to go around. Generationally speaking, half asleep. We have it. The kids don't. There are also fewer kids.
Yeah.
At the moment, because nobody can afford to have the kids.
Yeah, well, there is that. Yeah.
And the kids are playing their iPads.
I mean,
where
this
they're
is it. I
They're
hit
not-
that sentence. It's such a
But it's
7-year-old
true.
nonsense, but it's true. These children
Like
today with their
my
iPads and their
brother's-
compact discs and their
My brother's
PS2s.
daughter is on the iPad constantly watching YouTube.
I
She
don't let
can't-
my kids
This is
touch
it.
a tablet.
That's what
They don't
yep,
have. They play with toys.
but she is constantly on an iPad. It's always happening.
I'm not super comfortable with my 10-year-old having a Switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have kids, so I can't comment in that regard.
There are a lot
But-
worse parents out there than you, Brian.
Yes, they
Yeah.
Yeah.
are.
Is that an issue of durability or just access to the world, to the internet at large, that you'd rather
You
keep
can't
an
really
eye
access the internet on the Switch, can you?
Just
It
the
doesn't have a
fact that
functional browser.
just the fact that they melt and they into the whatever device they're looking at. They just
Yeah.
yeah.
It'll turn their
Gotcha.
eyes square and they'll grow hair on their palms, and if the wind changes, their face will stick that way. Just all the old arguments that our own parents threw out whenever we got these devices when we were kids. But now
My
we're
parents
old.
loved it. I didn't do shit. I just sat around and not bother them.
I had half an hour of Mega Drive time a day for a long time when I was a kid.
This just
I had to
kind
buy
of
my own.
it just sounds like what my mother used to say as to why I wouldn't get an Atari 2600. And then my grandmother bought one supposedly for herself, played with it for 5 minutes and said, "I hate this thing, give it to Robbie."
I needed more than 30 minutes of Genesis time. Some of them games were hard.
Yeah, you couldn't finish a game in 30 minutes, you know. It's no.
Most games, yeah.
Well,
40 years.
I couldn't finish a game, period. It doesn't matter how much time you gave me. So, like, for me, that was kind of academic.
Like 15 years after that, my mother finished Final Fantasy VII before I did. So
That's
that's just how that goes.
God, 15 years between the 2600 and Final Fantasy VII.
That's
Approximately, yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I was 3 when I got the
I
2600. So yeah.
Yeah, 97 to 82.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah.
God,
This is
that's insane.
This is a common point of discussion on Sonic the Comic, the podcast, about how much time when we look back now and how much, like you just said 15 years, like that's the difference between now and what came out 15 years ago in terms of Transformers.
Animated.
The first live action movie.
Oh, the first,
Yeah.
That's how long that
Wow.
was.
Yeah.
Animated.
And,
Oh my
and then
God.
over on
Wow.
this podcast about the 90s, when we were kids, we're realizing like, yeah, we're now in the golden age of this British Sonic the Hedgehog comic about games from the Mega Drive. We've just hit the year of the PlayStation came out, you know,
Wow.
and that's unfathomable. Like,
Yeah.
no, those
Really.
were decades apart.
Crazy.
Wow.
Cool. Anybody want to plug anything? Anybody want to go to sleep?
Well, plug Sonic the Comic, the podcast, certainly.
The basics.
And that's it. Yeah,
The
well,
basics,
yeah,
yeah.
sure. No
so
one's
yeah,
heard the basics. Who's watching this?
What's
Well,
the
yeah.
basics again?
search up Transformers the Basics on YouTube or search
How many
my name.
subscribers
It's
are you up to now? 120?
170K.
Oh my
Jesus.
God.
Nice.
Thank you.
Wow.
That's amazing.
It for something that I started because I was worried I was going mental in unemployment as a way to keep my mind active. It has, I would go so far as to call it life-changing, honestly.
I've known you for what, 25 years, something like that. You have more, you
not
have
far
more
off, yeah.
subscribers than like media outlets that have like TV stations. You know, you have more, you reach more people
Without better
than,
content.
than yeah, and better
Yes.
content than like most local media channels. It's amazing what you've been able to do.
I guess people were just crying out for a Transformers lore channel. I mean, I'm not saying there are certain other channels that have done similar things over the years, but I guess the entry, it's so to continue the plug, you know, it's an entry level series of roughly 10-minute episodes explaining the histories of Transformers characters, the makings of series and complex concepts and lore in a simple bite-sized format. And I guess that just resonated with folk, you know.
It's amazing.
I had a YouTube account for years beforehand already, but it didn't have any significant number of subscribers or anything. So yeah, it
it's
just
the most
really took
amazing
off.
thing I've seen in the fandom as far as like growth
It
goes.
is. It
It's-
really
I
is.
I especially like Obscure Characters Month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes,
I love doing
that's
Obscure
the best.
Characters Month.
Yeah.
You know what? I think I'm gonna do Obscure Characters Month in December going forward now. Hot news for the massive. But just this year, I started Obscure Characters Month. Do that in January because we can do quick weekly episodes. It's a way to compensate for the fact that if you do YouTube, you may well know ad revenue craters in January because everybody's spent all their money in December in the run up to Christmas. So maximizing my output in January was what I thought would be a way to compensate for that. And this past year, I realized I just really spent so much time getting ready for January that I neglected December and so didn't capitalize on the increased revenue that happens at the end of the year. So this year, I might just do Obscure Characters Month in December instead and then take January.
That makes
off.
sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
to work it that way.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm super happy
well,
that you've been so successful. If anybody
Thanks,
deserves
guys.
it, it's you.
I don't know how to.
And thank you for
it's
that
like-
episode on Enemy. I appreciated
And
that.
yeah, and thank you
You're
for,
welcome.
Thank you for doing Slug specifically.
Thank you for
That-
Slug. Yes.
Oh yeah, I was like the main character on Twitter that day.
Yeah.
You know, what was good about that though was that it was all happening. I was just sitting in the corner sipping my tea like Kermit. Nobody was actually getting me. I wasn't caught in the crossfire in any way. I just like lit the touch paper and walked away. But I mean, I don't like there are a lot of other like toy review YouTubers and everything with much bigger numbers than I have, But I guess what I was doing just was unique enough that it really caught on, and I don't really have the words to properly explain how thankful I am for it. The improvement in my mental health and general quality of life off the back of the success of this thing, to me, is the most significant part of it. I've always been quite open about this before, but I was going mad in unemployment for what I guess it'd have been maybe what would it have been? Maybe 2 years, something like that. Anyway, I needed to move on from where I was, but didn't have a clear idea of where I wanted to go. And I'm very lucky in the fact that I was able to do that at all. And I always stress that, anytime anybody asks me about starting YouTube or anything, I always stress that I was very lucky and had a safety net and had family support that allowed me to do that and allowed me to find my way into this. But then it just sort of, I didn't even, can we say this on a live stream? Because I don't want to know if Hasbro's listening in or anything, but like I didn't monetize it for months after I started it, because I was always afraid Big Daddy Hasbro was gonna come in and quash it, and they haven't yet. So
that's kind of interesting to me, just because with the the gaming stuff I do, like I'm on the second in a Gundam game series that I've been covering for like 10 years now, and the entire first game I did not monetize for the same reason. I was certain I was just going to get copyright struck and wiped off the face of the internet. But I started with the second one, and they've been, they not only left me alone, but they actually provided me with a copy of one of the spin-offs this last year. So yeah, so I managed to hang in there long enough to get like officially recognized, and I'm kind of hoping you will too, because you do just such great stuff.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm okay with not being officially recognized, because I just don't. It's not the eyeballs I want. I am fairly confident, like, that there are probably people there who do watch. It's like this, like with Few, over Toy Grind. We know they watch him, and we know there are other YouTubers that they watch. And it seems like the people out there actually making the stuff we like are fully in support of like what we do as like YouTube creators.
So
yeah,
I don't
up above beyond that. I don't know, who was it? Grievances,
There were a couple at BotCon. Who was it that came up to like say, "Hey, Chris." There was a triplet. I mean, for XV, one of the folks from Hasbro came up and just said hi to you and greeted you by name.
No, it was Alex Milne.
But there was somebody a designer from Hasbro that came up to us like excited to meet us, and I had no idea who they were. Yeah, that's like that's pretty cool, But yeah,
that is cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
They
absolutely know who you are, Chris.
One thing I like, Chris, is that you are providing baseless information. You're providing a character history, so people newer in the fandom, if they hear about these characters coming out, or they in some fashion, they know where they come from without any bias. It's just, this is the character, this is the information. There's no gatekeeping. You're not withholding.
That's it.
Yeah,
because I'll fully hold my hand up to bias. You're not going to catch much Shattered Glass in there. There's not going to be a lot of Fun Pub Pro Story stuff in there. And repeatedly, certainly, I've called out things about the treatment of female Transformers and stuff like that. You look at the slug video just from the other day. It's like, yes, within the video itself, it's just I offer no value judgment on the name whatsoever, but sometimes a certain topic is going to attract a certain type of comment. So if you look at the slug video, at the top of the comment section, I made a pinned, rather inflammatory comment insulting people who were about to post and go, wow, this PC woke outrage mob changing my childhood. Because people may not expect, I often get messages from people who are surprised when they follow me on Twitter to find out I swear quite often. So a comment like that at the top of my comment section may surprise and, yes, anger certain people, and if it makes you angry, you're the sort of person that's targeted. But
Yeah.
a comment like that acts as a lightning rod and makes all those people leave their comments under that comment instead of cluttering up the rest of the comments with their bullshit. So
Nice.
Yeah, good.
I had to become savvy about that sort of thing. So I won't say I don't do it with bias. A certain amount of bias is inescapable, but I was kind of getting a little exhausted with, and this is not an insult towards TF Wiki in any way. I haven't been contributing to it very much since I started doing this because there are only so many hours in the day one can dedicate to writing about Transformers. But I was starting to get the. I feel like as a site, as it's grown through no fault of its own, simply through the explosion of Transformers media since the live action movies came out, it's become harder. It's become more and more impenetrable to a casual reader to understand why this version of a character is on a separate article to this version of a character, even though they are, fundamentally the same character, or why these two versions of the character who look and seem completely different wind up on the same article for some reason through the vagaries of what brand a toy or cartoon may be released under. So because TF Wiki operates fundamentally on the idea that all canon is created equal, and my opinion on that is, but some canon is more equal than others. And that's kind of the philosophy that goes into the basics, and it's like some shit just isn't worth mentioning.
But I mean, but you're not withholding information. You're giving it out there freely so people can be more informed of this universe, which a lot of people wouldn't do because this is my knowledge of this character. I'm going to hold it for me because blah, 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 blah.
66% of my audience is younger than me, and that's all I need to know.
Wow. I love that.
If people younger than me are tuning in, that means that
I love that number's that high. That makes me very happy.
You see to get about like 3% more, and then the meme number.
But yeah, it means obviously some of them are still in their 30s. I'm still in my 30s for another couple of months yet, but
cherish it.
You still get carded for movies, Triplet.
When was the last time I went to a movie?
Well, if you did, you would still get carded. I mean, like I'm looking at your face right now.
Oh,
I mean, there's that one picture of me and Triplet in that restaurant. And even looking at that picture that you took, Brian, when we were down there visiting him,
2015.
God,
it's
been so long.
It's the resemblance is disturbing.
You could be my older brother.
I could be.
Cool. Okay. It's a little after 3, so I'm going to go ahead.
Oh yeah,
and kill
just
the
finished
stream.
doing that plug
Live?
then. Actually, so there was cut off. So do the basics. You can also find Sonic the Comic, the podcast, a fortnightly online guide to the Sega-sational world of the 1990s and the UK's official Sega comic, Sonic the Comic. That's at stctp.wigglehee.com every 2 weeks. That's all, and you follow me on Twitter at Chris McFeely. Because I got some other cool shit coming this year that I can't talk about yet. There's some project that hasn't been announced officially yet, but the work's been turned in. And if you're coming to TF Nation, can't talk about this yet either, but Jim Sorensen and I are currently working on a presentation that, I don't want to oversell it, might be one of the most exciting and significant panels ever held at a Transformers convention.
So that's awesome.
Nice.
Cool. Well, sweet. Thank you so much for being here,
That's
Chris.
this August.
Triplet.
All right.
Thank
you.
Everybody else. Jenny, who's not here. Timey. So hopefully we'll see y'all next year.
And let's hope there's an actual toy fair.
Let's hope there's an actual.
God, yes, please.
With toys of new characters.
Yes.
Brand new characters we've never seen before.
Yeah.
Let's not aim too high here, McFeely.
One step at a time.
Someone say goodbye.
Characters that weren't linked 2 days prior.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's probably that's a reasonable hope to hope for.
In a new
characters,
Titan
don't
class
be ridiculous.
Metroplex.
Unleaked.
And by Twitch. And goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
YouTube.
Bye.
Sweet. Wow, that went a lot better than I expected. I'm like,